the day before, as shown in the image they took in the throne room during the same party. All which would explain why the bug wasn't found until now. As the cage is used to trap people, that means additional variables are applied to them, which may have muddied the water for the code. As mentioned earlier, Duriel explained in an interview 3 hours after the event that he was in the throne room to check out the cage. But he's not the only one. A Swedish user on the DI forums explained only an hour after the massacre that also he could attack people after being teleported from the inside of the greater magic cage. None of the JMods that actually had a part in fixing the bug knew for sure what actually caused the variable to be smuggled out of the house. Even the skill's developer explained in the RuneScape history book that he missed something, but couldn't specify what. Now, obviously, the bug can't be abused today. We're going to be talking more about that later, but to get a true understanding of the greater magic cage's involvement, I made a last attempt to find the cause of the bug by messaging upload manager Mod Easty. As a Jagex employee since 2008, few JMods know the game's coded secrets better than Easty. As an upload manager, he's been in charge of implementing all code involving hotfixes and new updates since 2010. Next to this, he's had a pretty big interest in bug abuse, keeping in touch with RuneScape's bug abuse curator and learning the ways of how to break the game both internally, but also externally. Some might remember him from the Rotten Potato documentary, where Easty was shown to be in contact with the old bug abuse communities. If anyone at Jagex would be able to look up the code and find the bug, it'd be him. But even Easty couldn't say for sure. The construction code has changed a lot over the years, and the closest we can get to the original code is from August 2007, being the same code of the game used to bring back Old School. Already at that point had Jagex made several changes to avoid the massacre from ever happening again. But Easty could, after reviewing the 2007 code, make a guess at what happened in June of 2006. Hold on for this, cause we're getting a little technical now. When standing in the greater magic cage and somebody pulls the lever, it traps the players inside. If the player chooses to drop them down to the dungeon, an animation plays where the player is falling. As we know, Cursed You expelled everyone from his house whilst our known PKers were in the cage. And the Swedish user did explain the cage was in the process of teleporting him when he was kicked, suggesting the animation had been activated when Cursed You hit the emergency brakes. Based on how the code worked at the time, Easty believes this caused a rare instance where two actions happen in the opposite order of what they're meant to do. Assuming Cursed You expelled everyone in the same game tick as a different player sent the trapped players to the dungeons, the game prioritizes the action activated by the player with the highest player identification number, or PID for short. In 2006, the number each player had depended on how long you had been online on a server. The longer you stayed online, the higher the number you had. And obviously, Cursed You had been online for longer than most of his party guests, making his action of expelling the guests take priority. So when hundreds of players, including the ones in the cage, spawned outside, the other action was still queued up and played directly after they all had been kicked. Since getting dropped into the dungeon would register your account as being in the dungeon, the variable saying you're on the upper floors of a house disappears, and PvP mode becomes activated. So in summary, you have a variable that turns on open world PvP, and another that stops it if you're on the ground or upper floors of a player-owned house. This is supposed to be removed when you leave the house, but the developer forgot about the greater magic cage, and now you have open world PvP turned on thanks to stupidly specific circumstances. As long as you don't log out, hop worlds, or teleport, the variable stays visible. Okay, enough on mechanics. It's time to talk about the carnage. As players start dropping, panic spreads around the Remington house portal. Some people still have no idea what's going on. Others know exactly what is going on. Some players run as fast as they can, not wanting to lose their expensive items they had brought to the prestigious party. Others are just deer in headlights, unable to avert their eyes from the disaster unfolding before them. A party hat is quickly lost in the chaos to a player named Yeti90, punching his victims to death with nothing but a pair of boxing gloves. Others are dying to mere shadows, killers avoiding attention by hiding in the masses. Some of the bug abusers likely teleport or hop worlds in an attempt to make the most of this once-in-a-lifetime chance, only to wipe the variable they accidentally smuggled out. Attending player moderators sound the alarm, with their silver crowns piercing through the chat box like a sword of light dispelling the dark. They warn players to run, report the bug abusers, and beg those same abusers to stop before it's too late. Others rush to the player moderator forums to open a direct line with Jagex, hoping to get in touch before these random killings turn into a full-fledged massacre. Meanwhile, at Jagex HQ, moderators Matt K, Mark R, and Murdoch make up the entirety of the community management team this evening. Having been working for just over 6 hours at this point, it wasn't long until they could finally head home, as their shift ended at 2 AM. But as the ones to deal with player moderators, they quickly noticed the reports coming in over their PMod emergency ticket system, all repeating the same warning about open world PvP.
You used to get them almost like every day or every week. You get something similar, which is like, oh my god, PvP's been enabled in this place. You better get there to see what's going on. So we used to get it all the time. So nobody took it seriously. And then we had about 2-3 more tickets come in. It's like, hang on a minute, we probably ought to go and have a look at this.
Mod Mark R and Mod Murdoch jumps in game, teleports to Remington, and quickly discovers that the reports are entirely real. Trying to do what they can to remedy the situation, they start warning players to run away and bank their items. Ironically, this just sends more players towards the hot zones of danger when they could have just logged out and been perfectly safe that way. But it was late at night, people were panicking. None of them were prepared for a situation like this, and it was likely just as chaotic in the office as it was in Remington. While Jagex managed to get some of the abusers, they're actually struggling to get them all. You know how you can't log out of the game until 10 seconds after combat? Turns out even Jagex couldn't get around that requirement. And so if someone attacks a player, and then just attacks someone else within 10 seconds of their last kill, they just can't be logged out. Sure, the moment they stop, they'll be slammed by their ban, but until then, they can just go as long as they want. The Remington mask cascades into a system of predators and prey, with those expelled with the attack buttons able to murder any other player in the game, and those without unable to attack back, stuck in a non-PvP zone, only able to watch as their health ticks down until they lose everything they're carrying. With 2 J-mods unable to do anything but watch as the chaos unfolds, those with items to lose run north to the nearest bank, hoping to deposit all of their items before they're forcibly stripped of them. Some players are quick to escape, but not without trouble along the way. One of the bug abusers, Jonathan 0, follows the crowd north to attack players attempting to get to safety. He gets no kills, and attempts his luck against an unsuspecting player doing a farm run. Inside Cursed You's house, however, the Construction King and his friends are completely unaware of the chaos they've caused outside. They're just chilling and enjoying the afterglow of their friend's achievement. However, a lot of the reports flooding in from the PMods are name-dropping him and his party, so a scrambling staff team decided to lock his account just in case he's somehow enabling the bug.
We've got somebody in game who is causing a bug to be abused. The only way to get him to stop it is to get everybody out of his house.
They actually snitched,
So we banned him. In order to stop it then and there, that's the only option you got. You can ban them or let them carry on. It's like, well, you ban them, kicks everybody from the house, and doesn't let them back in again.
So Cursed You is issued a ban. He is forcibly disconnected from the game, and his house immediately closes, with all of his friends forced outside into the masses. People are dying, PMods are shouting, and even a couple J-mods are there trying to save the day. To call it a reality check is the understatement of the century. Cursed You is informed about the chaos over TeamSpeak, and does a cheeky little bit of ban evasion by hopping onto his real-world trading mule account, Hidden P-Hat, to check out the situation for himself. Duriel 321, still in Remington, has spent the past minutes observing rather than abusing the bug. Though we know he attacked somebody in the town and discovered the variables still applied to him, it's likely he paused once the J-mods showed up. They clearly didn't know about him just yet, otherwise Duriel would have been just another ban in the Remington carnage. But Brian had always been a PKer. It's the whole reason he played the game, and he'd be given the ability to attack anyone, anywhere. There was no way he was ever going to resist taking the plunge. His TeamSpeak friends, who were fully up to date on what was going on from the perspective of Duriel himself, all encouraged him to keep going. But they had to be smart about it, and laid a plan to do as much damage as possible. He splits off from the crowd, also making his way north towards the nearest bank. But he's not here to deposit his valuables, he's here to bring them out. While running with the fleeing masses, he tells one of his TeamSpeak companions, P6 EMX60, to wait by the Falador Bank so he can accept some items in a trade. By this time, Johnny his old Zero had also
Unregistered
made his way to the
hypercam,
Falador
baby.
East Bank, still attacking players in the area. After finally getting a kill, he is attacked by a different player who also has the PvP variable still applied, RuneScape Go 1, who is much better geared to fight. Jonah teleports off to escape, simultaneously ending his minutes of attention in the spotlight. As Duriel arrives in the bank, RuneScape Go 1 pledges to protect the bystanding players from future killers. Little does he realize, the largest predator of them all is just a few squares away, getting ready to seize the moment all of his days in PvP had been building towards. While most players were still attacking random players in Remington, Duriel and his encouraging friends were ready to abuse the bug to its fullest potential. He knew the consequences. He knew he wouldn't make it out of this unpunished, but he knew this was his chance to go down in history as a legend. He heads out of the bank and enters a trade with his waiting friend. What items did he trade, you ask? Well, we're not sure. There's no way to know what was in his inventory. It's a pretty safe bet to assume that Duriel was offloading some of his most valuable items, fully expecting an incoming ban for his upcoming actions. But with both of them ending the trade with a thanks, it was time to make history. Brian and his TeamSpeak friends had laid an evil plan. While players had started to reach Falador to bank their items, no one had reached the neighboring towns. So, taking a leisurely stroll, Duriel made his way to the once named Ghost Town. If he'd tried to teleport with an Amulet of Glory, he'd have lost his PvP variable, something he didn't know about but avoided by sheer luck. If he'd tried to world hop in an attempt to tear down the busy hotspots of World 2, he would have also lost the variable. There were many opportunities during the night where Duriel could have easily come to an early end, and he just happened to avoid them all. And so, Duriel arrived in Edgeville with a rogue variable still primed. The unsuspecting players in Edgeville thought nothing of it. People go there all the time after all. No one could have expected that this was going to be a ghost town once more. With the element of surprise on his side, Duriel immediately started swinging at the players, targeting those bearing the most expensive items. PKers returning from the wilderness with hard-won spoils, Alkers barely paying attention to the game as they tore through their giant piles of items, and those displaying their obscene wealth through equipped items. As Duriel's spree is going on, his friends on TeamSpeak are calling people over to Edgeville for Duriel to slay. One of the unfortunate victims answering the call is Primo, a wealthy player carrying his beloved green party hat. Just seconds after he stepped foot inside Edgeville, Primo is dead. Brian is filled with adrenaline seeing the expensive paper hat appear on the ground before him, and equips the infamous green party hat that he'd wear as his spree continued. As the kills racked up, players started crowding around Duriel, wondering what was going on as the killings continued. Around this point, Duriel removed both a white and a yellow party hat from their previous owners. However, he was actually unable to pick up much loot for himself, as the greedy onlookers seized the opportunity to grab what they could, descending on party hats and high-level gear like the vultures that they were. Duriel knew
there's no timer?
Incoming. He wasn't in it for the money. He couldn't be. It was a bloodlust driven entirely by an adrenaline rush, a lust for chaos. As fearful players fled Edgeville, they made west for Falador, hoping to get away. And eager to hunt down the rich and wealthy just within his grasp, Duriel gave chase. While Duriel had already torn up Edgeville and is making their way to Falador from the north, players in Remington finally heed the advice of the J-mods and make their way to Falador to bank their items, having seen all the bug abusers in the area start to disappear and believing the glitch to finally be over. Even Mod Mark R and Mod Murdoch fall for this misconception, seeing a peaceful Remington and believing it's all over. Rather than following the players to Falador, they log out, believing their job to be done. Fresh blood runs to Falador from the south, running straight north in hopes of finding safety. They slam into the refugees from Edgeville, with a one-man army hot in their trail. Remington may have found peace, but that's because the chaos had all gone north. And with a mass amount of targets congregating in Falador Square, and Duriel descending from the north, the stage is set for the greatest disaster RuneScape has ever seen. Anticipating what comes next, some bystanders fire up their recording software, not wanting to miss a second of what follows. and with players starting to drop like flies, more and more eyes are morbidly drawn to the madness. But those pale in comparison to the hundreds of thousands of eyes that would descend on the videos of the event over the years to come. Some of the most infamous RuneScape footage that has ever been uploaded to YouTube.
XDDDDD. What's that music, dude?
For 5 long minutes, the rampage races Falador to the ground. PMods beg for players to get away and bank their items, but people are enthralled by the history in the making, and the pleas go unheard. Friends message friends to come and see, and as word spreads around the game, more and more people descend on Falador to watch the bloodshed for themselves. Within the last hour, the 1,200 players on World 111 had reached its max capacity of 2,000, with several more queuing up to get in. Mere hours earlier, this had been Cursed Use Day. It was now entirely Duriel's, with a ferocious stack of people following him around, an unhinged collection of people egging him on, asking him to kill them or chanting Dur scared on repeat. After building up this army of followers and clearing Falador of targets, Duriel decides to head back to Edgeville to take down the sneaky players who thought they'd managed to evade him. With impending doom returning to the edge of the wilderness, PMods continue to beg for help on the forums. Someone, anyone at Jagex, we need you! Well, they did have Jagex at the scene. Having realized the problem had spread further than Remington, Mod Murdoch logged back in to try and solve the problem. If he could force Duriel from the game, they could slam the banhammer on him, but Duriel was unbannable as long as he stayed in combat, and high on the bloodlust from the bug, he wasn't going to let enough time pass between kills to leave combat mode. With a pool of targets around him, why wait 10 seconds when you could immediately kill someone else? So Murdoch went for the second best thing Jagex could do. That is, asking Duriel as kindly as possible to stop, please and thank you. If Jmod powers weren't going to save the day, maybe words would. Unsurprisingly, this didn't stop Duriel. However, Murdoch was hot on Duriel's trail. He had to slip up eventually. There was no way he could keep up the perfect murderous pace for hours on end. And sure enough, Duriel slipped up. GHJJF, who just so happened to be the leader of Cursed Use clan, DI, became Duriel's last target, barely surviving next to Barbarian Village. As Duriel heads dead north to Edgeville on the hunt for more victims, too much time passes before he manages to strike again. 10 seconds are quickly gone. Mod Murdoch slams the disconnect button and Duriel is ejected from the game, the almighty train coming to an immediate halt.
Puto mod chupame le vegra.
However, only disconnected. Mod Murdoch were probably more concerned about getting the biggest predator offline before doing anything more complicated. Duriel immediately logs back in, but with the killer variable removed by the logout, his killing spree is done for good. Duriel's not stupid, he knows his time is up. So, with his last moments in Gillinor, he removes his green party hat and trades it to his longtime friend, Voodoo Legion. With his Harlequin prize in the hand of his trusted companion, Duriel turns to dust, disintegrating into nothing as he is disconnected once more, with a permanent ban applied to his account.
Pussy-ass mods, dude.
After about an hour of stress, fear, and death, the infamous massacre had seemingly come to an end. But the funny thing is, Duriel had managed to keep going for such a long time simply because he ran to a different town entirely to begin with. By the time the reports of Duriel's rampage had made it to Jagex, the killings in Remington and southern Falador had already lasted for 20 to 30 minutes. The largest predator might have been taken down, but who knows how many other killers were still running around the game? Who knows what events haven't reached community management's ears? And who knows if it's not all about to happen again? The bug was still in the game. This was only the start of a very long night for Jagex.
Cambridge, mate.
To say Night Shift were struggling was an understatement. One of the biggest sources of stress was to do with escalation. With no developers in the office overnight, there was no one on hand to fix the bug. Community management certainly couldn't do it. Do they hope for the best, cross their fingers that the bug doesn't become widespread with more offenders appearing and let it get fixed in the morning? Or do they nip it in the bud here and now? Well, by the time the British clocks got closer to 2 AM and the end of their shift, the call was finally made. They needed backup. Just 2 weeks prior, Andrew Gower had been the only person in the system who had permission to add hotfixes to address issues like this. But by sheer coincidence, Andrew had recently delegated this responsibility to a different employee, System Administrator Mod Slake. Slake had seized the opportunity with both hands and openly admitted that he would be more than willing to come in the moment an emergency needed him. Anyway, faced with his first emergency, Slake immediately called Andrew Gower in the middle of the night. Okay, that's a little mean to the guy. Slake was definitely up to the task and willing to do his part in stopping the problem, but while he had the permissions to deploy a hotfix, he didn't really have the technical know-how to confidently stop the glitch without breaking anything else in the process. He needed a developer's insight. Stirred at 2 AM, a tired Andrew Gower was bombarded with information about what had been happening in the game.
Yeah, why not just restart the server?
Problems, open world PvP, players dying in the streets. They needed someone at the office to come over and fix it immediately. Andrew, annoyed to be stirred by the very person he appointed to avoid this sort of thing, told them to deal with it themselves and gave them the number of the only other developer who had agreed to do emergency callouts. The man, the myth, the legend. Mod Ash.
The call began with, "Hi, is that Ash? Right, yeah, we understand you said you'd be willing to do some emergency call-out work. We've decided to go ahead with that plan. Frankly, I didn't actually know who it was. Didn't recognise the voice."
Ash, not recognizing the voice, was confused by the call, but agreed to come in
Massacre
regardless. Slake raced to Ash's house, picked up the developer and beelined to the office. With the right mind on the task, they quickly sussed out what was behind the bug. While they weren't sure how the PvP status had been smuggled out of the house, they knew it was the rogue variable that had caused the massacre. It was a bug that had existed since the release of Construction, but no one had known about it until this perfect storm. With the variable identified, it was easy to make a hotfix. Ash's hacky middle-of-the-night solution was to temporarily disable PvP in the entire game, meaning nobody could attack each other inside any POH or the wilderness until it was turned back on. He also thought to make the game just stop reading the house PvP variable completely, effectively disabling it for any players who still had it active. Without knowing how the variable was smuggled out, they simply didn't know if this was POH exclusive or if a player could do it all again by using a different source of PvP. With that done, they could fix it more elegantly in the morning. Ash just needed to make a quick check that there weren't any glaring problems in his code to ensure that it wouldn't cause a second major incident. All in all, Slake and Ash's work took them somewhere in the region of 2 hours, with the hotfix being deployed roughly around 4 AM UK time. As the party had started just after midnight, this gave a total of 4 hours from the start of the house party to the termination of the glitch. It had been a night of terror, a night of dread, a night of murder with countless bloodshed. But as Ash and Slake relaxed in their chairs, the 3 community managers now at home could enjoy a well-deserved rest. Because despite all the things the night had been, the night was finally over. Survivors of the massacre share their testimonies over all major RuneScape forums in the following hours. Long threads tell the tale of the terrors on World 111, calling it the Doomsday Massacre due to the coincidental date of 666. The rants forums are flooded by angry players demanding their items back. Chancers try to capitalize on the opportunity and also demand their items back, even if they didn't lose anything. Some of them weren't online for it at all. Screenshots circulate the forums. DI member SOP4, also known as Sinai, uploads his footage of the event to YouTube just hours after it ended. Although YouTube was still fresh at this point, so most people preferred to share the file's download link on RapidShare instead. Duriel himself replied to posts on RuneScape community, in later years known as the Zybes forums, explaining some of his perspective of the entire event. His appearance on such a popular forum made it rather easy for people to get in touch with him. Players started to reach out, wanting their items back, but Duriel was in no position to return them even if he wanted to. However, in a cruel twist of fate, Duriel checks in with Voodoo Legion a few hours later, asking for his green party hat back on a different account, only for Voodoo Legion to refuse, sever all ties with Duriel, and end their years-long friendship over some money in an online game.
What the?
The legendary green party hat was sold just a few hours later, shamelessly swapped for a yellow party hat and a Santa hat, with Voodoo keeping the yellow for himself and gifting the Santa hat to a friend he clearly cared about more than Brian. Learning of the legendary figure at the heart of the massacre, a writer from Tippett called The Rat got in touch with Duriel through the RC forums about 3 hours after the massacre had ended. Requesting an interview, Duriel gleefully accepts, with a transcript of their conversation being posted in a Tippett forum thread titled The Falidor Massacre.
This guy can't spell.
The Falidor Massacre, to be exact. This was the first time the event was referred to by this name, and due to the heavy traffic the site would see over the next few days, it quickly became the official name and the one that has stuck through all these years. Emerging from the ashes 3 hours after the massacre was Cursed You. Andrew Gower had eventually gotten up to check on what was going on, and upon looking at the bans for the night, noticed that Cursed You wasn't maliciously involved with the bug. There was no reason to keep him banned, so they left their law-abiding construction king back in to continue his RuneScape adventures. This didn't sit right with some of the staff, who despite agreeing that he had nothing to do with the bug, could see a range of alt accounts in Cursed You's possession with suspicious activity in the real-world trading market, but nothing enough to issue a ban, placing his account under surveillance going forward. The bug hadn't been properly fixed yet, mind you, but it was now close to the start of the workday in the UK, and all hands were on deck once more. It's an odd morning for the staff, as they're met by the garbage fire that started blazing overnight. The community outrage is at an all-time high. A horrific glitch is being held back by a patchwork fix, and they all slept through one of the most significant events in RuneScape history. With Jagex being made up mostly of young developers and fresh faces in the industry, it's an unusual and exciting day for them. They've never seen anything like this before. Regardless, they get to work on properly fixing the bug. Andrew Gower, upset that such an event happened in the first place, admonishes his team for not partaking in safer coding practices. During this conversation, he realizes that the in-house programming language, RuneScript, doesn't really have an easy way to check if a player is in a specific location or not. Sure, there are some hacky ways around it, but it leads to stuff like the 2 separate variables for house PvP, which led to the bug anyway. So Andrew just goes away and quickly codes up an entirely new system for the game to fix this. With the new code, it's now possible to check what instance a player is in alongside what coordinates they're standing on, and so the team ensures that all variables which enable PvP also check that the player is standing in the intended place. Wilderness PvP only works in the wilderness, house PvP only works in a house. You get the picture. Even if you smuggled these variables out somewhere, they wouldn't do anything since you weren't in the correct place. There would never be a disaster of this type or scale ever again. Additional fixes have been made over the years to ensure bugs of similar nature truly cannot happen. Though unrelated to the massacre, the PID system was changed in 2013 to now be in a random order rather than based on who had been online the longest, meaning bug abusers can no longer rely on their actions being prioritized in the system. Other bugs related to the POH and variables have also been fixed in later years, which all in all creates a stack of safety checks before you even touch the ground when you leave a player-owned house. Jagex has basically built a fortress of protection around the bug they couldn't identify for so many years. Having proved himself with his 11th hour 8, Slake gives Modash special permission to deploy hotfixes to the game without requiring a system admin such as Slake to push it through for him. While Mod Ash tends to get a lot of the credit for stopping the massacre, Slake was equally important in saving the day. After all, Slake was the admin on call. He was the one who drove to Ash's house and the office, and the one who pushed the hotfix through. Without him, there was nothing Ash could have done in this situation. But as a last, just as important major change, players could now be banned even if they're busy smacking down people in PvP. As for the people, Paul Gower took to the Rants forum with some terrible news for the players. apologizing profusely to all of them. There was nothing they could do for the victims. The system wasn't able to perform a rollback at this time, returning everyone to their state just before the killings. And there was no way they would be able to issue item refunds, as Jagex did not keep a backup of that sort of data, and legitimate requests were being drowned out by a sea of people trying to get free stuff. No one would be getting anything back at all. Imagine permanently losing your best gear and not getting it back solely because some kids were trying to scam the system in wake of a huge tragedy. I know I'd be upset. The discussion on the days following the massacre saw people go back and forth between despising and supporting Duriel. Some players felt a rollback was the right solution, with this ban being reversed alongside it. I mean, who could resist such a tempting glitch? Everyone would go around and kill as many people as they could if given the chance, right? Others thought the ban was justified, given he had exploited one of the most serious bugs the game had ever seen, and knowingly went around murdering people to steal their expensive items.
Why not just
While
make a new
Duriel was
account?
permanently gone from the game, Cursed You was back in business and enjoyed a reasonable status as an online celebrity following the massacre. Despite not taking part in it at all, his name was forever connected to it, and everyone knew him. However, he was far from a golden child and received another mute just a few weeks later in July 2006, for reasons unrelated to the massacre. Even in the evidence report, you can see a player calling him a legend. Must have been a nice ego boost for the 16-year-old. Pride comes before the fall, however, and with Jagex actively monitoring his account, only 2 months passed after that fateful night before Cursed You pushed things too far. Or rather, I should say Cursed You, since it was Josh playing on Lincoln's account. While Lincoln was at school, Josh started to brag about real-world trading on the account, while also attempting to sell gold. The ensuing report alerted Jagex to Cursed You's long and shady history on the topic, and so the account was permanently banned for real-world trading on August 26, 2006. Despite being banned, Cursed You still stood his ground that what he did on his account was a solo mission, claiming what ultimately nailed his coffin was actions done by an intelligent account hijacker. With both Lincoln and Brian removed from the game, the story of the stars of the Falador massacre came to a swift close. Okay, that's not quite true. While the Duriel account was permanently banned, that didn't stop Brian from playing RuneScape. Duriel 321 was never to be let back into the game, with Andrew Gower even leaving a note on the account in the internal system saying it should never be unbanned. One of the only 4 known account notes he ever left in the system during his 10-year tenure at Jagex. But even if Duriel was gone, Brian did have other accounts to play on. Gifted as in Boy763 from a friend, Duriel was able to jump straight back into the game without having to start the long and monotonous grind from scratch. Jagex did also add a note to this account, connecting it to Duriel 321, but decided to let it slide since he wasn't breaking any rules. I mean, other than ban evasion and account trading, but hey, who's counting? His new account wasn't a well-kept secret either, sharing the username on a fan site he made for himself. Getting the status as an iconic player in the world's largest MMO at age 16 must have been awfully exciting for Brian. He continued to be a part of Evolution up until February 2008, when he attempted to join a new clan of dastardly villains and terrifying PKers, Reign of Terror. Duriel didn't last much longer, however, as he eventually quit the game sometime in 2009 and has not been an active player ever since, as far as we know. As for Jagex, they tried their best to avoid acknowledging the massacre for several years. After all, the incident was essentially a major case of bug abuse. It was a failing on their end, and to give it any credence would just be glorifying rule breaking and encouraging future offenders. But time heals all wounds, and those personally affected by the massacre moved on with their lives, either rebuilding their accounts or leaving the game for greener pastures. Avoiding the topic was the official stance right up until RuneFest 2014, at which point Jagex decided to start talking about it in preparation for the RuneScape documentary. It was still something of an awkward topic though. With the rise of mass shootings over the years, as Jagex started to bring it up, they had to make sure they never glorified it. Staff members who had dealt with active shooter incidents in real life never found Falador Massacre jokes to be funny, so they knew how sore it could be for some community members.
Ruffle.
But still, it's one of the most significant cultural events in RuneScape history. People who've never touched the game have heard of it. Whether you like it or not, it left a permanent mark on the game right in the middle of its golden years. In 2016, on the 10-year anniversary, Jagex decided to fully commit to acknowledging the incident by adding an in-game event that recreated Cursed You's infamous house party, followed by a giant Duriel 3-2-1 miniboss that players could fight together.
Is this
Even
like the
Old School
Columbine
held an
guys making
anniversary
that
event,
Doom map,
opening up a
dude?
temporary World 666, where players could engage in open world PvP
Hold
in
up.
Falador without it affecting their accounts on the regular worlds.
Hold up.
Jagex even added a new song, Massacre, to play on this temporary world, bearing a striking resemblance to Nightwish's Planet Hell, but in the OSRS sound font. As Planet Hell was the background song for the most well-known YouTube footage of the massacre, many players associated with the event, and to this day, all the top comments on the YouTube upload of the song are about RuneScape. Jagex also outsourced a gaming company to create a simple game for Facebook titled The Falador Massacre. Described as
What?
a top-down view of Falador as it appears in Old School, you'd have 3 minutes playing as Duriel 3-2-1 to get as many kills as possible. NPCs posing as players would pop in from all directions wearing different items, awarding a variety of points depending on the item. Unfortunately, Facebook wasn't too fond of releasing a game holding the word massacre, and thus was rejected and never released. In the years after Duriel left the game, his details were somehow shared online, likely as a result of one of the many leaks of the Zybes forum database, allowing imposters to log on and pretend that they were the PKing legend in disguise. This tricked various content creators into making videos about them, some of which have since been taken down. Many streamers have also claimed that they were actually Duriel 3-2-1 returning to the game, but these were all fakers trying to use the name to boost their audience. Cursed You also eventually returned from the Land of the Dead, sneaking back into RuneScape under the inconspicuous name Cursed You. See, 2 S's, it's totally a different guy. I bet the second S stands for secret. Anyway, he streamed consistently for about a year, uploading several YouTube videos during this time, releasing some never-before-seen screenshots from the construction grind. He got in touch with the Jagex moderators and some content creators, sharing his stories before fading away once more, joining Brian in the greener pastures that lie in the world outside of online gaming. Wherever the two of them may be now, they leave behind a legacy that will forever be a part of RuneScape history, gaming history, and all of the players that were there on that fateful day. Thank you all so much for watching this deep dive into RuneScape's most famous bug of all time. It's kind of funny thinking that, even after all these years, we never fixed the actual bug that caused the massacre. They only added workarounds to stop it happening again. Far down in the
Guys. That's fixing the bug, though. That's fixing the bug. Right? That's software? What? The problem was literally that there wasn't a check. And then the check was added. And now it can't happen anymore. That's fixing the bug. It's not the same? Dude, it literally is the same.
The code, that bug is still there. And on
They figured out exactly how they did it. Okay. Shut up, you don't even know math.
Inside RuneScape for the rest of its life. If that isn't a poetic metaphor for the legacy of the massacre, I don't know what is. Anyway, I really hope you've all enjoyed this video. Until next time, my name is Will Miss It, and I'll see you all later.
It was literally probably just like there's so many people there, dude. Link channel. It's RS Will Miss It. I'll post the video in chat. I post the video in chat. Let's go, dude. I'm late to fish stabbing. What's this minigame I'm playing? It's called Tempo Ross. So I can level fishing and get some fish to cook at the same time. What's next on reacting? I don't know. Preferably not something RuneScape themed, though. Already watched the 50 egg chug. It was fucking cool. Watch this.
100 glizzies entering glizzy overdrive. Increasing grit by 7%. 100 glizzies entering glizzy overdrive. Increasing grit by 7%. We are locked in. Thank you for over 160 glizzies entering glizzy overdrive.
Something tells me he wasn't eating all them glizzies at the same time, though, bruh. Something tells me he was fucking lying, dude. Entering glizzy overdrive. Hold on. Oh, fuck. I can't embed it, dude. I'm not playing it then. Am I shooting fish at the monster? They're harpoon fish, dude.
Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is not a word in the dictionary. It's also one of my favorite games, besides Genshin Impact. Created as a...
No. Yeah, what are we watching, guys? Porn? Oh.
Pipe. It is the man's pipe. It's John's. He presents this cautionary message to us all. It is as if he is speaking from high, and he is saying unto our awaiting ears, "Hi."
Double audio? Oh, shit. Yo, my B, guys.
Number for the two circles.
To do every single curve of turning number 1, are you?
Of course not. What we need is a general method. Do you remember the simple way to transform one curve to another when sharp
I've already
bends
seen
are
this
allowed?
Quake video.
Yes.
Are you depressed? You find that you become depressed sometimes?
Yo, when's my wife gonna get back with my freaking
You're going to
food?
love this. Trust me.
Should my next mouse be these Corsairs fall apart for dog shit reasons? I just use a... Oh, double audio for game. I just use Logitech G502.
Hey people, Seth here.
We watched 5 minutes of Sigma male affirmations. 14-year-old kids be like, adult man says no to woman. Funk music begins to play. Patrick Bateman cutaways. Dead Mall review. I'm good. I want some like food related. Maybe it's because I'm hungry, dude. No.
All right, curry and rice and a piece of pilot bread to eat with it. Not too shabby.
Outdoor boys. Damn, you guys already did it, huh? You already fucking did this shit, did you? You did this shit already, dude? You hear the Yoda gagging noise. Oh fuck. Yo, he unchugged it. That's right, dude. He fucking unchugged it, bro.
You and I are on a mission. We've traveled back in time to meet a very important person. Let's call him Mr. Adams.
Pass.
This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. I used Squarespace to build both basics with Babbage.
Pass. Townsend's is good? Okay.
You and I are on a mission.
You say a RuneScape MV? Hold on. Rick versus Yugi. Wait, there's a part 2.
I summon Agent
It came out 2 days ago, dude. I wonder if this is the same guy.
I summon Agent Tammy in attack mode.
Rick Sanchez.
Tammy, the mega bitch. Gooderman. Tammy has a special ability. She increases Phoenix Person's attack points to 3,000 when she is on the field. Also, as long as Phoenix Person is on the field, she cannot be attacked. Phoenix Person, attack the Pharaoh directly.
I activate my face down card.
Oh, I think my wife's here.
Magician Navigation. This allows me to special summon the Dark Magician from my hand and Dark Magician Girl from my deck. Now my Dark Magical Circle's effect activates, allowing me to banish any card on the field. Say goodbye to your Phoenix Person.
I don't think so. I activate my trap card, Dimension Substitution. When a monster on my side of the field is selected as a target for an effect, a substitution token is special summoned, and that becomes the new target. The original is banished temporarily, then special summoned back to my side of the field at the end of my turn. Pharaoh, you're a crafty bastard, aren't you? I see why C-137 had trouble trying to beat you.
Rick Prime, I don't know much about you, But any man who is capable of taking the life of an innocent mother and her child is beyond redemption.
That's funny, because Maleficus told me all about your royal bloodline and all the messed up things they did at the village of Kolomna. That puzzle you wear so proudly was created through the non-consensual sacrifice of human souls. Personally, I don't give a fuck, but please, spare me the hypocrisy.
I may not remember my past, but I know in my heart that my intentions are for the good of mankind.
That memory loss of yours must be a bitch. I set one card face down and end my turn.
My move. I activate the magic card, magic formula on the Dark Magician. This increases his attack points by 700.
I activate the quick play magic card, Necro Shield. This reduces any battle damage I take to 0 until the end of this turn.
Dark Magician, attack Phoenix person. Dark magic attack.
I activate my trap card, Portal Mania. I can use this to redirect your attack to bird person. Really wish I had Jinza right now.
I set 2 cards face down and end my turn.
I summon my Serpent Queen in attack mode. And now I will use my Serpent Queen to attack your face-down monster.
I'm King Flippy Nips.
By attacking Flippy Nips, you activated his flip effect. Each player now discards their entire hand and draws until they have 5 cards in their hand.
Perfect.
Tell me something, dickhead. Why did Prime choose to partner with you?
My knowledge of the ancient gods.
What knowledge?
You will find out soon enough. This, I assure you. I will set 2 cards face down and end my turn.
My move! When there are no monsters on my side of the field, I can special summon Crowrick from my hand. When Crowrick is summoned, his special ability activates. I can discard 1 card to destroy 1 monster on your side of the field with the lowest attack. Looks like the Mega Bitch is going to the graveyard. Now I summon Purge-Rick in attack mode. These douchebags are loaded with traps, but this magic card can protect me from 2 of them. Next, I play the magic card Cromulon Gaze. This allows me to select a face-down magic or trap cards. They cannot be activated until the end of this turn. Let's hope you pick the right card, C137. Fingers crossed. Crowrick, attack Phoenix person.
I activate my trap card, Sacred Sacrifice.
For fuck's sake!
When you declare an attack, I can special summon my ancient zombie in attack mode. Now this becomes the target of your attack. And now the third and final seal activates.
I think not. By banishing my Magician Navigation card from my graveyard, I can negate the effect of your Seal of the Dead.
You're not the only one with a graveyard effect. Thanks to King Flippy Nips, I discarded Cornelius Daniel to the graveyard. By paying 1,000 life points, I can banish him from the graveyard and negate the effect of your Magician Navigation. Shit!
And now, my Seal of the Dead is complete. And I can add any card from my deck to my hand. And I know just the one.
Rick, I don't have a good feeling about whatever card he just added to his hand.
With you on that one, we need to take him out fast. To end my turn. My turn.
Prime, the time has come. However, I will require 1 more monster as an offering.
Perfect. I summon Toxic Rick in attack mode. I control you. I control the universe. I'm surrounded by inferior pieces of shit. Shall we begin?
What do you find so amusing?
Pharaoh, has it never occurred to you that if your Egyptian gods come from the light, there must be gods that come from darkness?
You were wondering why I brought him along. The reason is, he's the only one who knows the chant to summon the Egyptian god of darkness.
Oh, no!
I activate the quick play magic card, the Call of Apophis. Now the shadow game begins.
What'd I miss? Yeah, my kid walked up to me and said, "You're the best guy ever." Hold on. We'll watch this.
You and I are on a
Townsend's guy because you guys said he's good. Please no. Why not? Starfield Direct? Already watched this.
You're dating one of the fattest men in Hollywood. You're dating one of the fattest men in Hollywood. What do you expect? In my opinion, she should have met Jonah halfway, put on a couple pounds. I mean, you're dating one of the fattest men in Hollywood, and you want to be a surfer. She's body shaming him by virtue of existing. You're essentially saying, "Fuck you, Jonah. You fucking fat, you little fat fuck. Why don't you sit on the dock, jerk yourself off while I go gallivanting in the ocean?" 2 weeks after the whole submarine shit, show a little respect. People on a submarine were just there; they just died, and now you're out there showing off, having your women love today going on the ocean being whores. What are men going for?
Discovery.
Exactly, and the whole thing. How many women are on
fucking random.
0. You're dating one.
I wonder why he keeps playing this song.
We would like to present to you the new show.
My name is Darok. I got a really big axe. If you talk to me, then I'll hit you with my axe.
A Rim, that's my name, and I might be emo. Frown upon me, and I'll put on a show.
So cool.
I'm not singing some stupid song.
I like pink flowers and little puppy dogs. I also like children and my small pet frog.
Santa is the name, Christmas is the game. Ho ho ho, check out this big candy cane.
Whoa!
My name is Bob and I got one thing to say. Shut up, noobs, or I'll smack you in the face.
I'm going to sing a song about something very close to my heart. It's a song about Zazima. I saw Zazima in World 3. I got my pants right there, almost instantly. He turned my way, then he glared right in my eyes. I got my pants again, as I started to cry.
What are you guys doing watching this video? You could be out there in your community. You could be volunteering. You could be making something of yourself, but you choose to sit on your butt and watch RuneScape videos. And not only just RuneScape videos.
This was made 14 years ago.
Videos about this guy that's bald and he just says noob all the time. Like, what? How is that fun? That's just stupid. This Tanoob Show guy doesn't even PK. What's the point? I've never seen him make a max hit video. I've never seen him make a PK video. This guy sucks. If you're gonna waste your time on the computer, you might as well watch a video that's decent. Goodbye, children. Don't forget to rate my video 5 stars and like subscribe to my channel so you can see my videos.
Wanna look real gangsta, you do? Let's
name on the high scores all the way up at the top of the list? Do you wanna be as rich as a Wall Street banker? Wanna look real gangsta, you do?
This guy made a fucking RuneScape video with Copper Cab. Do you guys remember Copper Cab?
There's a great big world out there, but it just ain't for me. I fight dragons, I fight demons. I'm the king of this place, don't you see?
This guy collabed with Copper Cab. This is the last video he ever made.
But it is super lame. I prefer to conquer kingdoms and battle my way to fame.
Do you wanna be the best? Do you wanna be better than the rest? Do you wanna see your name on the high scores all the way up at the top of the list? Do you wanna be as rich as a Wall Street banker? Wanna look real gangsta, you do? That's great, there's only one way to the top. Here's the answer. You gotta know life.
Every single day and every single night.
You gotta know life.
Chillin' in the basement, no need to see the light.
Know life.
Don't matter if you're short or tall or fat or
You
thin.
gotta know life.
All you need is a mouse, a keyboard, and the drive to win.
Know life.
Every single second, every single hour.
You gotta know life.
Don't worry about the smell, there ain't no time to
You
shower.
gotta know life.
Ordering pizza like it's no one's business.
You gotta know life.
Two overrated words are health and fitness.
What about my career? What about my social life? What about the new season of Walking Dead? What about feeding my dog?
Ain't nobody got time for that when you trying to win. Nothing else matters as long as I'm a champion. You see all this cash in game, I could buy anything. Level so high, it's insane. Some wonder how it's obtained. There's a great big world out there, but it just ain't for me. I eat Doritos, I drink Red Bull, collecting all the EXP. There's a great big world out there, but it is super lame. I prefer to click with my mouse and show these noobs the feeling of shame.
Do you wanna be the best? Do you wanna be better than the rest? Do you wanna see your name on the high scores all the way up at the top of the list? Do you wanna be as rich as a Wall Street banker? Wanna look real gangsta, you do? That's great, there's only one way to the top. Here's the answer. You gotta know life.
Get a permanent ass mark on your chair.
You gotta know life.
No time to be grooming, just looking like a grizzly bear.
Know life.
Don't worry about your mom talking shit, she don't understand.
You gotta know life.
No need to worry about skin cancer, you ain't getting no tan.
Know life.
True.
Even in your dreams, you be breaking them news.
You gotta know life.
Only on your monitor is where you'll see boobs.
You gotta know life.
If you judging this, you ain't nothing but a hater.
You gotta know life.
Just piss in a jug and put it in the toilet later.
Life. No. Life. No. Life. No. Life.
Do you want to be the best? Do you want to be better than the rest? Do you want to see your name on the high scores all the way up to the list?
Thank you.
You fucking kidding me? Damn it!
I forgot Copper Cab was a person, guys. I forgot that was a real human. He real? It was all an act? He's married now? Was a person dead now? Okay, which one is it, guys? Is he married or dead? You believe everything you read in Twitch chat? Me too, that's why I'm asking you guys. No life. That song's gonna be stuck in my head for a long fucking time. He was in a show called Hollywood Hillbillies for 3 seasons. Copper Cab joined Hollywood. What have you guys done with your life, dude? Losers. Sub to me. I mean, that is pretty cool, though. Erpic and Durkle, thanks for subbing. You once edged for 12 hours? Hog? What is that? Radio Matt, thanks for subbing. Mayonnaise? Say the line? What? That's what good pussy sounds like? Oh, it's the scallion pancakes, isn't it? Maybe? Mung bean pancake? Oh, it's bean sprouts. How come I'll never get killed at Falador, guys? Born too late. Shake Zula, thanks for subbing. I'd eat one of those. I eat that whole thing. It's Yuko, dude. Trimming the fat on meat's so fucking obnoxious, man. Hate that shit. What was I doing during the Falador massacre? Playing Halo 2. Halo 2. This probably really grosses out like vegans in chat and shit, seeing stuff like this. You're vegan? Does it gross you out, bro? You got enough meat on that oil? It's like a slurry, dude. I'm not a vegan. Oh. How come all Korean food ends up like this, guys? With a 70-year-old woman wearing big gloves, stirring it together. That's what good pussy sounds like. Classic, dude. Dude. Ha ha ha! Seinfeld face. Ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. Boop, ba-doop, boop. Boop, ba-doop, boop, ba-doop, boop, boop, ba-doop, boop. Bam, bam, bam. I was trying to harpoon those fish. Guys, this isn't American food. They are clearly in Korea. I will not accept that brand of slander. Everything be ending up like a pancake in this bitch. Rots and no wall thanks for subbing. No shit, they're making pancakes. Ooh, don't you know it all, big guy, huh? Tough guy? You think you know everything? You think that's soy sauce? Oh wait, that's probably like vinegar or some shit, right? It's pickled onions. Oh, so good, dude. Mmm. I love pickled onions. They're using skizzers, bro. I want to go to a Korean night market, guys. One day. 5 points, baby. That looks very good. I'm not the biggest fan of octopus, but I'll eat it. No! Yeah, it's still moving. Ew, it's fresh. Ew, that's how it's served. You think Koreans were mad at the group Hanson when they had their big hit? Mbop. Because they got Bimbap, they got Gimbap, all this shit, dude. Good one. Thanks, man. Thanks. This guy said you're better than this. No, I'm not, man. No. I've gotten these at Korean places before, and I can never finish them, man. They're too fucking big. I love seaweed, though. I don't think that's raw meat. It might be, though. It is? That's fucking gross, and I've never had the raw meat one. So good. Again, you miss me with that shit, though, bro. I forget what this is. Oh my god. It's worse than jellied eels, bruh. Dumpling skin with a knife. What is toffee? Is it just caramel? I actually don't know what it is. It's coffee with a T. Nuh-uh. I asked the boss why he cut the dumpling skin with the knife. Caramel with butter? That's toffee? The more you know, little bro. Shenanzo, thanks for subbing. Can you react harder? Oh! They're making the dough in parenthesis brown, dude. What? Amber Heard said, what, dude? I can't believe it. Pork. Do the facepalm, please. There it is. Mods. It's not their fault. They're working on a delay, dude. 386 for subbing. Imagine cleaning all this later. It truly is the worst part of cooking, man. Fuck that. Cleaning is fun? Alright, psycho. Fucking psychopath. I'm up for additional video suggestions. But hold on, though. Yum. So good. Didn't I enjoy the power washing game? Who the fuck doesn't enjoy power washing, bro? Huh? Oh. I see what you're saying, because it's cleaning. It's not technically cleaning because you have a laser beam of water that you're using to clean with. That shit's fun, dude. Yo, it's time to pull some rewards, big boys. Pull it. 8 soaked pages, boy. I don't have the tome, though. I got the fish barrel, boy! Oh, shit! 1 in 400, baby! We got the fish barrel and the tackle box, dude. We got more pages. More pages? Jesus. Rune medium helm. Diamond necklaces. $25 is a dupe? What does that mean? 25 pages means you re-rolled a unique you had. Oh. So you're saying that we got 2 fish barrels or two tackle boxes then? That's lit. Where the fuck? Rune full. Okay. Banana. Banana. Burner. Burn. Hi, Elking. Some helmets. 32K. In the fucking bank. The bonds? Yeah, sounds like you're jealous of my bank wealth, bro. Can you use the fish barrel in Tempo Ross? Oh, except for harpoon fish. Cringe. Alright, what are we watching other than this? Wait, hold on. We might have enough fish to cook. I'm the best. I bet we could get 10 levels with what we got. I have those gauntlets, though, so we gotta go to Steel Gaunt. All I have to do is talk to one of the kids, right? And then they turn it into what they're good at. Talk to Gatherby guy? Okay. Gatherby man. I don't know why I have my dreaming staff. Dreaming stuff. Dreaming stuff. Banked XP plugin works well. I want to be surprised, dude. Wrong fucking way. Hold up. We'll put on a video when I start cooking again. He was in here, I think? Where's this freaking chode at? Right here. Gauntlets. We must talk to Caleb about the effects of his enchantment first. I hear you brought the completed crest to my father. I must say that was awfully impressive work. I believe your father mentioned you would be able to improve these gauntlets for me. Yes, that is correct. I could slightly alter these gauntlets that allow you some of my skill at preparing seafood by making them cooking gauntlets. When you wear them, you will burn lobster, sharks, and swordfish a lot less. It will be a permanent modification, however, so make sure this is what you want. Oh, you can't change it? This is it? You can? For 25k? Okay. Pour some herbs and seasoning on your gauntlets, bakes them on his range for a short time, and then hands them back to you. He cooked my gauntlets. Fucking psycho. Burp, burp, burp. Burp, burp, burp. Right here, right here, right here, right here, right here. Open gate. I'm late for school. I've got my book bag. I mean, my book. I got my gauntlets in my mouth. Yeah, boy. What does this look like? Someone said this was prime RuneScape fashion back in the day. Bro, it looks like my shit got amputated. I've applied a tourniquet to both of my hands so that I don't bleed out. That's not drip. Bagel Smith, thank you for subbing. Lost my hand in a seasoning incident. Metal Spiral, thanks for subbing. Dude, does anyone use kingofsteaks.com? You think this bot's working, dude? Raw. Let's see. So it'd be listed as raw, right? Oh, fuck. What's the order here? Burn. Do lower level ones first? Yeah. Mackerel's level 10. Is bass bigger than more rare than salmon? I assume it goes mackerel, salmon, tuna, bass, lobster, swordfish? Salmon, bass, tuna, swordfish. Mackerel, cod, salmon, tuna. Okay, I wrote it down. Mac. We're gonna make a new tab real quick. Tag name, cook. Enable layout. Change icon. Cook. Fish. Boom. Mac. Put that shit in there. Cod. Raw cod. Wait, I don't have any cods. Salmon. Tuna. Lobster. Base. Sword. Pike after mackerel? Okay. Cod, salmon, tuna, lobster, base, sword. Cool. We got our gauntlets on? Yes, sir. Do we have our ring of wealth bling? Of course. Range and Lumby gives an invisible bonus if that matters to you? Bro, I'm not going all the way over there, bro. Only for pie? So it said stupid ass chatter. Jesus. It should have been me, not him. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not. White boy dance and good vibes. Zane, thanks for subbing. How to get 71 rune crafting? How do I do KC for Guardians of the Rift? That's how. We didn't burn a single one. Meow, 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 meow. I might be above the burn level for them. Oh. Oh. You like hitting things, Kylie Jenner? That's this guy's name. Come play game, Kylie Jenner. Video time? What the fuck were we gonna watch? I can't remember.
Wangaratta. Now, two fun trivia facts about Wangaratta. One, it has a population of around 29,740 people. And two, it has a funny name. Well, in the city of Wangaratta is the protagonist of this story, a man named Dan Saunders. And thanks to an unbelievable discovery, Dan's life was about to change.
Seems interesting. 10K viewers, barely any chat. Yeah, it's because I'm botting. I'm view botting. This is the video we're gonna watch. Boom! Yeah, my shit's embedded on Fextra Life, guys. What, is it too loud?
Here. A brief history lesson on Dan. So he'd previously worked over in Melbourne at the luxurious Crown Casino, a sprawling casino.
That's fine.
Australia, a vast land of immense heat, alcohol, and gigantic creatures. More specifically,
I gotta go take some
Victoria,
medicine,
in a
so
city
I'm gonna
called Wangaratta.
begin cooking
Now, two
another
fun trivia
batch,
facts about Wangaratta.
and then go do that real
One,
quick.
It has a population of around 29,740 people, and two, it has a funny name. Well, in the city of Wangaratta is the protagonist of this story, a man named Dan Saunders. And thanks to an unbelievable discovery, Dan's life was about to change forever. But hold on a second. How exactly did we get here? A brief history lesson on Dan. So he'd previously worked over in Melbourne at the luxurious Crown Casino, a sprawling casino
Video low
in the
AF.
Crown Melbourne Resort, featuring 540 tables total.
Bro, listen, I love the British accent, but man, I feel like I had the
100
perfect
poker
volume.
tables and 2,500 poker machines. A job Dan started when he was just 18 years of age. But
Or
after being
Australian,
caught
whatever the
swimming in
fuck this
hotel
is. I'll be right
pool
back,
and
one sec.
walking through the casino floor with pints of booze in hand, it was fair to say that his boss didn't have the greatest opinion of him. Well, it was at this job that Dan would meet his future fiancée, who after a while would move away to live closer to family. So, of course, Dan followed, making the big move to Wangaratta. Living just down the road as the two saved for a house together, Dan was your average Aussie fella simply getting on with life. He worked a brief stint at Nando's and then snagged a job working as a barman pulling beers in the West Side Tavern pub. Now, while somewhat ordinary on the surface, this place becomes quite the spot in this story. It's a small local joint, a few regulars, nothing too fancy. It had decent enough business as it's common knowledge that Aussies need at least one alcoholic beverage a day to survive.
If you're a full-grown Aussie, this is what you'd have for breakfast. VB long neck. Get that up, yeah.
And with that, we're up to date in our story. So it's a regular Tuesday night. Dan was finishing up a tiring shift at the tavern. He mopped the floors, cashed the registers, and locked up as he would at the end of any workday. Now, it wasn't uncommon that after work, Dan would go out drinking with friends, and tonight was no different. So to wind down and recover from the lengthy shift of serving all that booze, Dan and his best mate Mark went out for booze. The two hit the town and found themselves in the Bull's Head Hotel Martini Bar in downtown Wangaratta. Mark started off buying the drinks. He'd waved the first few rounds as the two sat at the bar chatting away. Well, as the night grew later and the two grew slightly drunker, it was Dan's turn to cover the next round. But as he pulled out his wallet, he quickly realised it had run dry. So staggering out of the Bull's Head, Dan did what anybody would do in that scenario and searched around for the nearest ATM to reload his wallet. Wandering around the dark Wangaratta streets for a while, Dan eventually came across a National Australia Bank ATM. The time was 12:11 AM. He slid in his card and thumped in his 4-digit PIN. Now Dan knew that his savings account had a whole $3 in it, so that wasn't an option. And as for the joint account that Dan shared with his fiancée, for any money to be taken out of that, the two of them would have to have signed for it, so that wasn't an option either. He did, though, have a credit card account. But even that, Dan knew was around $2,000 in debt on overdraft, close to its limits. So he wasn't even sure if that account would let him withdraw anything. Regardless, he needed cash. The night must go on. So deciding to give it a go, Dan pressed the transfer button and attempted to move a sum of $200 from his credit card account to his savings account. After pressing confirm, he was met with an error message that flashed up on the ATM's display that simply stated, "Transaction cancelled." The machine also refused to show Dan his saving account balance, displaying account balance cannot be displayed at this time, and spat the card back at him. Confused, Dan reinserted his card and attempted to withdraw the $200 out of his savings account anyway, and the machine dispensed the $200. Not really thinking much of it, Dan assumed that despite the error message, the $200 had just transferred out of his credit card account to his savings as normal. So with $200 cash in hand, he made his way back to the Bull's Head for more rounds of drinks. So as the early hours of the morning rolled in, at around 1 AM, Dan and Mark finally decided to call it a night. Morning. Dan pulled himself up from the bar and started walking home in the pouring rain. Making slow progress, tired, drunk, and wet, something caused Dan to stop in his tracks. It caught his glazed eyes. A bright red glow. It was that same NAB ATM that Dan had withdrawn money from just earlier in the night. And with the ATM being in an alcove and the surrounding pavement being bone dry, Dan decided to seek refuge from the fierce downpour. Dan thought back to earlier in the night with the transaction cancelled message, but the money still dispensing regardless. He thought, hell, I'll give it another go. He took out his card and inserted it. Now the machine still wouldn't display Dan's saving account balance, but this was expected. So again, Dan did the same. He attempted to transfer $200 from his credit card account to his savings account. Transaction cancelled, and his card was spat back out. The card goes back in. Dan tries to withdraw the $200 from his savings, and it worked. The machine dispensed the $200 just like earlier. He tried again with $400 this time. Transaction cancelled. Card spat out. Card goes back in, and the money dispenses. Then again, $600, $800. Each time, transaction cancelled, but the money kept coming. Dan was baffled. He stood there with nearly $2,000 in cash. There was no way that Dan's credit card account, that was already $2,000 in debt, was approving these transactions. But still somewhat drunk and exhausted, with a long walk ahead of him, he shoved the notes into his wallet and trudged home, crawled into bed, and passed out. It's the next morning. Dan groggily comes round, tired and slightly hungover. He assumes the whole ATM and money withdrawal the night before was simply a dream, but as he picked up his wallet from his side table, crammed with nearly $2,000 in cash, it became very real. Questions started to swirl around Dan's head, but he quite quickly shrugged them off, assuming he'd just have to simply pay all the money back. So he shoved his wallet in his pocket and headed to the tavern for a 3 p.m. shift. Well, on the way there, Dan thought to himself, well, rather than just pay it back right away, I guess whilst I've got the cash, I might as well use it, then just simply pay it back at another time. So he did just that. Over the course of the next couple of days, Dan bought a new fridge for his kitchen and numerous rounds of drinks at the bar. And as he stood, looking down at the remaining cash from the night at the Bull's Head, he decided the best option was to gamble it. That's genius, he thought. If he won, he could pay back the $2,000 and still have some to keep for himself. Now you see, the Westside Tavern featured a TAB, which is Australia's biggest sports betting website. So regulars could go into the tavern and sports bet whilst they were drinking, which is arguably the most Australian thing I have ever heard. So after work, as the tavern closed, Dan would punt the remaining money he had. After a few hours of gambling, Dan had lost.
How is it? Do we keep going? Yeah?
Feeling defeated and down on his luck, Dan decided to call NAB phone banking to check his balance. And as he expected, his savings account was down minus $1,997 from all the withdrawals that he'd made. But weirdly, when Dan got a statement on his credit card, there was no record of the transfers Dan had made from his credit to his savings at all. Dan could not stop thinking about the night after the Bull's Head. The fact he could even take a penny out of his surely overdrawn credit account. The transaction cancelled message. Why were the transfers that Dan had made between his accounts not showing up on his credit card bank statement? Dan slowly started to piece a theory together in his head, but he had to be sure. He needed to try it again. So a couple of days later, around midnight, Dan locked up the tavern for the night and started walking home. There it was. The elusive NAB ATM. Dan's curiosity took the better of him once more. Now the machine actually allowed Dan to see his savings account balance this time. Of course, minus $1,997. So Dan tried.
Fireworks!
He attempted to transfer $1,000 from his credit card
Oh, I get the skills on the side like that? One of my moderators made it, and they're showing it on screen right now.
account to his savings account. And again, that error message that Dan knew too well. Transaction cancelled. But when Dan checked his saving account balance, it was minus $997. So he frantically transferred another $1,000 from his credit to his savings. Transaction cancelled. But the balance on his savings account went back up to $3. Dan had paid off his debt in a matter of seconds. It was clear that this wasn't supposed to be happening. Now, Dan knew the ATM withdrawal limit was $1,000 on each card, so he took things slightly further. He transferred yet another $2,000 and withdrew the $2,000 total in cash, $1,000 off each card, and crammed the notes into his wallet. Dan was really starting to piece things together now, noticing patterns from his various ATM trips. His theory grew. So the next day, Dan became obsessed with checking his bank balance, calls after calls to NAB phone banking to check the totals, and he plotted his results. In the morning, saving account balance, $3, with no record of the transfers on his credit card statement at all. 11 p.m, the same. Saving account balance, $3. Still no record of the transfers on his credit card statement. 1 a.m, the same. $3 in the savings account, and no record of the transfers on the credit card statement. So after a full day of checking his balance with no change, Dan decides to call it a night. Well, when he awoke at around 6 a.m, Dan sat up in bed and thought hell, and he called NAB phone banking once more. Saving account balance, minus $3,997. All the transactions that Dan had made had caught up and reversed, but there was still no record of the transfers on his credit card statement at all. And with that, Dan's theory was correct. What exactly was happening? What was Dan's theory? Well, what Dan had worked out after repeated calls to phone banking to check his statements at different times of the day and his numerous trips to the ATM was between 12 and 1 a.m, the NAB ATMs would go into a status called standby mode. And whilst in this mode, the NAB banking network would just seemingly disconnect from their ATMs. This meant that, in short, the network couldn't actually see Dan's credit card balance and would just auto-approve whatever transfer amount Dan would key in, allowing him to move up to 6 figures at a time from his credit card account to his savings account and spend it as normal. All whilst the ATMs were in this sort of limbo period. And despite the error message, the money would transfer, but these transfers wouldn't show up on Dan's credit card statement. Although, here's the kicker. Roughly 24 hours after the payments are made, around 3 to 5 a.m. the next day, the NAB network would catch up, realised the false transactions and auto-reversed the transactions out of Dan's savings account, putting his account in debt. But Dan had a solution. All he had to do was just stay ahead of the bank. So he could transfer an amount, spend that money on his card as normal, then the next night, just a couple hours before the payment's reversed, Dan goes to the NAB ATM and just simply transfers double the last amount to keep the balance topped up. So when the network would catch up and the transaction would reverse, he still had cash in there, like a buffer,
I'm sure this won't backfire.
and the bank being alerted. And he just had to keep that loop up, seemingly creating cash from nowhere. It was genius. We paused this showing to take a small break. It's time for the ads. Oh, I was just getting into that. Let's see what else is on, shall we? This week on the History Channel, the age-old strategy of War Thunder, the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. Yes, exactly, Richard. Every vehicle in the War Thunder range is incredibly detailed and modelled down to their individual components. Yes, Jezza, and that offers a highly immersive combat experience. So here we see the lone dung beetle as he is bombarded by more than 2,000 playable tanks, helicopters and ships that take part in dynamic, combined arms PvP battles. Yeah, so hello David. Today I've bought a copy along of Warsphere to fully immerse yourself in. That's correct! You've won the 100,000! Wow, Jeff, I mean, just even worth the risk. If somebody didn't secretly report Dan, they'd go and try and take cash out for themselves and potentially expose the entire operation. Dan didn't even tell his fiancée. I mean, the two didn't live together, and she was a primary school religious education teacher.
They
so
didn't
Dan
live
knew that
together?
she wouldn't approve of what he was doing. He decided it was best to keep the whole thing hush and cover it up, but he
Cuck.
needed a plan. He didn't know the full scope of things right now, but he knew he could use the money he was taking out of the ATM to make more money. You see, Dan knew a few horse trainers from an old job, and they'd give him tip-offs on the horses that looked in the best condition for race day. So all Dan had to do was take the cash out of the ATM and place bets on those specific horses, and wait for the money to roll in. But he couldn't do it alone. So one night at the Bull's Head, Dan is out drinking with Mark again, and they meet up with 18-year-old Ivano, along with some regulars from the tavern. Dan is buying every single drink that's coming in, and the group can't help but question Dan on where all the cash had come from. He bats it away and claims that he won big on a bet, and using the money, the group of them could bet on horses and make more cash. So within a few minutes, Dan had built a makeshift gambling posse. The group would even bond over leaving $10 notes on the floor and watching people find them just for the fun of it. So with the team assembled,
So
the plan
rich.
kicked into motion. Each night, Dan would head out in that 12 to 1 a.m. time slot, order a taxi, and transfer money from his credit card account to his savings account. Over the span of a week, Dan had transferred and spent nearly $20,000. He was buying round after round at the bar. He gave his fiancée $1,000, and then each night, after his shift, the group would be putting bets
Only
on horses
1,000?
using Dan's money. Now, whilst the gang had a few small wins here and there, it was a fast downward spiral. Dan was losing big. One Wednesday night, the Westside Tavern was dead empty. It was just Dan and Mark sat at the bar betting on racing, and Dan was $40,000 in the hole, hopelessly trying to win it all back. At points throughout the week, Dan was even using the TAB whilst he was on shift, working behind the bar. And of course, whenever he'd go down, one trip to the ATM during the early hours of the morning, and he was back up again. It was fair to say that this plan that Dan had designed wasn't exactly going smoothly, but things would get far worse. One morning, Dan awoke to a phone call from his boss, Paul, the owner of the Westside Tavern. He told Dan he needed to come into work early and come straight into the office. Well, as Dan stepped through the door, there stood Paul, on a conference call to the TAB executives. They informed Dan that they'd been tracking his spending habits through the TAB system in the tavern. Well, shit. You see, Dan and Mark had gambled more money in a single night than the tavern TAB would pull in an entire month. So understandably, they'd noticed a slight spike on their charts. Dan was instantly fired on the spot and was told he couldn't work anywhere with the TAB for at least a year. Within a morning, Dan had lost his job. But it didn't stop there. The news of Dan's firing spread like wildfire around the tavern. All the regulars were talking about it. And with Wangaratta not being the biggest city, within a couple of hours, Dan's fiancée had heard the news, along with the eye-watering amounts that had left Dan's bank account. She assumed he was performing some illegal activity to obtain the money he was gambling with. So without any chance of explanation, she broke up with him via text. I'm not sure what you're into. I want no part of it. It's done. This hit Dan hard. In the space of a day, he'd lost his job and his fiancée of 4 years. The two were saving for a house together. They were engaged. Dan was heartbroken. He pretty quickly decided he had no real reason to stay in Wangaratta. So, he called Mark, and for the first time, revealed the glitch. Now Mark, being a pretty laid-back guy, wasn't too baffled with the whole thing. He sort of took it in a way of, okay Dan, that's your thing. I don't want anything to do with it, but I'll have beers with you whenever you like. And with Mark having a few days off, Dan thought screw it and booked a train to Melbourne for the two of them in an attempt to distract himself, to take his mind off everything that had happened in the last 48 hours. The train screeched into Melbourne in the dead of night, and the two wandered the streets for a while, eventually reaching the Crown Plaza Hotel. They hesitantly knocked on the door, and a bouncer reared his head. He took one look at the two of them that appeared tired and slightly disheveled and claimed the place was full. But Dan and Mark soldiered on and found themselves in the Crown Towers hotel lobby. Dan walked up to the desk and booked a twin room for Mark and himself, and boy was it snazzy. It was a taste of luxury for the two of them. Mark picked up a small remote he found on the side table, clicked the button, and watched the automatic blinds slide up to reveal the incredible views of Melbourne. Mark turned to Dan. A smile grew across his face. God, Dan, can you imagine this being your life, mate? Dan paused, remembering everything that had happened in the past couple of weeks. The glitch, the gambling, losing his job, the breakup. He looked down at the bank card that he used to purchase the very room they stood in. He looked Mark in the eyes and said, why couldn't it be? It was here that something within Dan changed. He'd gotten a taste of what big money could do. He started to view the glitch as a sort of gift. He'd been granted endless funds to play around with, to make memories with. So, still staying in a hotel room above the Crown Plaza, the two did their favourite thing. They gambled.
Yeah!
I mean, they were losing most nights, but who cared? The two lived to gamble each night, throwing thousands of dollars on roulette tables or any machines that they could get their hands on. And of course, each night, Dan was making a trip to the ATM to keep his account topped up. Now, alongside the original glitch, Dan had actually discovered a further loophole that allowed him to transfer money from his credit card account to his credit card account. Then he could use his internet banking to shift huge sums of cash between his accounts, then spend the cash as normal. But what's most important to understand about this extra loophole is that not only did it allow Dan to take money out of the original ATM in Wangaratta, but from any NAB ATM anywhere in Australia. Sadly, after a few days, the casino binge eventually came to an end, as Mark had to head back to Wangaratta for work, which left Dan sitting in a luxury Crown hotel room, alone. But not for long. He made a call to an old friend from his casino job. Now, this friend's identity isn't public, so we'll call him Richard. Listen, Richard, mate, drop whatever you're doing. Come down to the Crown Towers. I'll buy the beers. Just come and visit. Richard was understandably confused, but he thought, hey, Dan, if you're buying the beers, mate, I'll be right down. So the two meet in the hotel bar later that night. Richard, listen, I've checked you into my hotel room. At midnight, I want to show you something. Admittedly slightly puzzled, Richard goes along with it. So they drop his bags off in the hotel room, and as the clock strikes midnight, Dan takes Richard across the river to the closest NAB ATM. Dan inserts his card as Richard looks over his shoulder. Saving account balance, $7,000. Wow, Dan, good going, mate. $7,000. That's no. Watch. Dan interrupts. He transfers $50,000. Transaction cancelled. Oh, Dan, look, mate, there's an error message on the screen. Wait, Dan says. Saving account balance, $57,000. Richard was mind blown. Do you want me to do it again? Dan asks. Yeah, do it again, Richard says. $50,000 more. Transaction cancelled. Saving account balance, $107,000. Somebody had finally bared witness to the glitch in person with their own eyes. So the two race back up to the hotel room, and Dan sits Richard down. Richard, listen. We're above the Crown Casino. Let's get gambling. I'm in a big hole. I need to win this money back. In fact, Dan had actually won $40,000 on a betting site earlier that day, but when he went to bet $10K more, the site called him directly and told him that because he'd won so much, his max bet was capped to only $1,000. Richard looked slightly confused. Wait, what? Dan, let me get this right. So you're telling me you can magic money out of nowhere every single night? Dan nodded his head. Then why are you gambling? Richard asked. Why try and win the money back when you can just make it appear from nowhere? I mean, I just watched you transfer $100,000 at that ATM across the river. You have a holy grail, Dan. Dan realised Richard was right. Why was he even wasting time gambling to try and win the money back? He had a method that was allowing him to move up to 6 figures at a time at any NAB ATM across Australia. He thought, well, I'm surely going to jail for what I'm doing, so I might as well make the most of it. Dan vowed to live each day better than the last. So the next morning, he called Ivano and Mark, and they headed down on the train. So Dan, Mark, Ivano and Richard all gathered in the hotel room, and over the course of the next few months, the group would go crazy. It started that very night. Out bar hopping they went, Dan shouting every drink that was coming in, handing Ivano stacks of cash, splashing on whatever he liked. Every person they ran into, they'd invite to luxury penthouse parties. I guess when you walk into a bar and wave every single person's order, you start to turn heads. From that point onwards, Dan and the group would travel exclusively by pristine stretch limos, walking through designer outlets and clearing them out. Gucci, Prada, Louis Vuitton, buying whatever he or the people he was with wanted. Ironically, Dan became somewhat of a human ATM, handing out cash left, right and centre, but he made sure to put others before himself. He knew he had the power to grant people things that would take them years to get. He'd frequently hand waiters hundreds of dollars in tips, and he paid off all of his friends' student debts.
They tip in Australia?
Day. One of Dan's lady friends told him about her lifelong dream to fly to France and learn French in a Paris university to become an au pair. So he picked her up, took her shopping for everything she needed, and like that, she was off to France. Or when Dan was alone one day and he came across a busker that he really enjoyed, but nobody was really stood around watching. Besides, Dan, of course. So he walked into a music store, bought all new gear, and started secretly paying passing bystanders $50 to just stand and watch the busker. It got to the point where the crowd had grown so large, they started to slow down the trams in the street. Random acts of kindness seemed to be Dan's preferred way of spending. He was addicted to it.
Mr. Beast!
It was every single night. Dan was sat having dinner at a teppanyaki grill, and he got speaking to a lovely couple that mentioned they wanted to go on their dream vacation to Hawaii, but couldn't afford it. So they decided to stay in Australia and planned a trip to Queensland instead. And upon hearing that, Dan slams a Louis Vuitton bag on the table, unzips it, full of cash. Here, $20,000. Go to Hawaii. He smirked. He loved it. Dan would also befriend people without a place to stay for the night and buy them rooms in the Hilton Hotel so they could have a shower and a good rest. And on one occasion, Dan got a call from the hotel informing him that one of the rooms that he bought for somebody had been stripped of all of its robes, all of its towels, and the kettle. But this was no problem for Dan. He chuckled and related the theft of a kettle to his theft from the NAB, and he told the hotel manager to cover the costs of the stolen items on his card. Now, with the limit on the transfers being a maximum of 6 figures, at the height of the binge, Dan was transferring hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time. But instead of spending it directly off his card, and the ATM withdrawal limit being only $1,000 per card, Dan would walk straight into NAB branches and just ask to withdraw the cash. And the bank was clueless. Dan would ask to withdraw $100,000, and the bank tellers would head in the back for abnormally long amounts of time. Dan would start to panic and sweat, thinking he'd been exposed. And then they'd come right out and just hand him the cash like it was nothing. In fact, when Dan would be out spending thousands of dollars in designer stores, he'd get phone calls from the bank. "Sir, did you just spend $15,000 in the Louis Vuitton store? Was that you?" And Dan would just simply reply, "Yeah, that was me." "Oh, okay, no problem. Just making sure. Thank you for banking with us, sir." Well, that was nothing. The mornings after Dan would transfer, the bank would call him up and ask, "Sir, did you just transfer $900,000 into your savings account?" And Dan would coolly respond, "I mean, yeah, I was pretty drunk last night, but I don't even think that's possible, is it?" The line would go silent. "Yeah, you're right. That isn't possible. Must be a glitch on our end. Sorry to bother you, sir. Have a good day." Dan wasn't avoiding the bank by any means. In fact, throughout the entire binge, he spoke to them on the phone around 70 to 100 times. Now, whilst Dan was extremely generous, it wasn't without people trying to exploit him. But he could smell when somebody was trying to take the piss. Sure, if he knew something was $400 and somebody asked for $500, that's fine, no problem. And anything for the boys. But Dan wasn't going to let people try and make a fool of him. One girl approached Dan asking if she could have $500 to buy a new dress. Of course, Dan gave her with no hesitation.
Zerb,
Then
thanks
she
for
came back
subbing.
a second time and asked for more money to buy a pair of shoes. He gave her more. Then she came back a third time. She needed more money for jewellery. So Dan had her locked out of the hotel. Or a similar scenario where two women asked Dan for $1,200 to buy 2 bags of a certain substance.
Cocaína.
Knowing that amount was far too high for 2 bags, Dan still handed the cash over, but as the two left the hotel doors, Dan called reception and told them to not let the two back in. Now, whilst this rapid spending spree seemed somewhat chaotic or sporadic, after a few weeks, the group decided that if they were going to continue, they had to create a sort of strategy, stop things getting messy, a method to their madness. Firstly, the backstory, to cover their tracks. If anyone asked, they all agreed they would say they worked in finance, as a cover-up for the glitch. Dan was the mastermind of the entire operation. He knew the glitch through and through by this point. It was Dan's job to stay ahead of things. He'd disappear from the party scene every night at midnight, or set alarms to wake up, head to the nearest NAB ATM, and transfer cash to his accounts to keep them topped up and keep suspicion low from NAB. I mean, if Dan missed just one night, his accounts would drop into debt and the whole thing would fall apart. So before the group would go anywhere for the night, they'd scout the location for the nearest NAB ATMs. And being the National Australia Bank, that wasn't very difficult. In fact, Dan was going to the ATM so often, even the taxi drivers were curious. "Hey mate, how come you keep going downtown at 1 AM every single night?" And Dan would just lie. He'd claim that he was into the stock exchange and he had to transfer cash in the early hours of the morning to invest. Then he'd slip the driver a $50 for a $10 ride and race to the ATM. He did this every single night. Now, Richard's logic was if the group were going to be in expensive, luxurious locations around wealthy individuals, real millionaires, they had to look the part. Brand new tailored Hugo Boss suits every single day. They all carried around Louis Vuitton gym bags filled with cash. Yeah, that was Richard's idea. They hired bodyguards, got spray tans, and attended regular spa treatments to look pampered, fresh-faced, and rich. The group would waltz into expensive restaurants, look for the wealthiest, put-together person in the venue, then they would walk up to the table and offer to buy them the most expensive bottle of wine on the menu as a sort of warning call. "Hey, listen, buddy, you might be loaded, but we'll outspend you." So with the binge scripture finally laid out, thinking it could all fall apart any minute, Dan started embracing the high life. He knew what he was doing was illegal, but he knew if the shoe was on the other foot, the bank would milk it. He felt like he owed the world a service, so the party raged on. Dan rented a minibus, driving around Melbourne, stopping off at hostels, picking up groups of tourists, travellers, backpackers in droves, packing a bus full and taking them to Yarra Valley, where he would host exclusive pool parties for nights on end with free drinks caterers, and a DJ. He booked a table at Rock Pool Bar and Grill in Melbourne, and after his meal, Dan covered the cost of every single table with cash. Now this attracted attention, and when one of the workers came up to Dan and whispered, "Are you the richest man in Australia?" he thought to himself, "Hell no, I'm not. You've got people like Solomon Lou and a bunch of other minted Aussies." So with this in mind, he looked her dead in the eyes and replied, "No, I'm the 7th richest." He lied. Weaved in with luxury nights and fancy meals, the gang would simply fuck around. They'd walk into casinos and give people $500 to run up to active games of roulette and just take the ball out. In one fancy Italian restaurant that the group visited, they knew it was tradition that the place would serve a huge crystal bowl full of tiramisu as dessert for tables full of guests. So with that in mind, Dan called one of the waiters over to his table and asked him if anybody had ever dropped the bowl. The waiter shook his head and explained if anybody ever did that, they'd be fired on the spot. We're careful around here. The group smirked, and 5 minutes later, there was an almighty crash as a bowl full of tiramisu hurtled to the floor and smashed everywhere. Dan walked into Vera Wang with a female friend of his, bought her a wedding dress, bought himself a new suit, and the two went on a night out and pretended they'd just got married to get free drinks. The more people Dan got to know, taxi drivers turned into limo drivers turned into pilots. It was choppers from one building in Melbourne to another. But by far Dan's biggest purchase, a $90,000 chartered flight in a 20-seat private jet that he used to fly to an Asian island near Bali, where he proceeded to take over the entire island for the next 2 days straight. Champagne, caviar, beautiful views. Dan had it all. Day after day, Dan was living out his wildest of adventures. Endless luxuries, the high-flying life, all on cash that wasn't even his. He'd come a long way from pulling pints in Wangaratta, but there was one plan that the guys came up with that blew all the others out of the water. So the NAB headquarters in Melbourne is located here, 800 Bourke Street, and the Watermark Docklands, a regular spot that the gang love to dine at, is located right here, basically next door. Interesting. So one morning, Richard and Dan decided to design a poster. NAB staff party at the Watermark Docklands. Friday, all drinks free. So they printed it out, headed to said NAB headquarters, and placed the poster right at the entrance, a spot where conveniently every single NAB staff member would walk past every single morning. So cut to Friday night, the Watermark Docklands is swarming with 400 to 600 NAB staff members. Richard stands on a table and makes a toast. The room goes deadly silent. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And thank you, NAB. You really have been good to us and our business this year. This would really not be possible without you. The room erupts into applause. They had the NAB on strings. They were hosting a party for the workers of the bank that they were robbing blind. But as applies to everything in this life, all good things must come to an end. Now this is the part of the story where you expect me to say that NAB caught up with what Dan was doing and he was thrown in handcuffs. But it wasn't anywhere near as simple as that. So towards the end of the binge, as Dan would wake up each morning on the floor of some random hotel penthouse, surrounded by empty bottles and loose cash that he'd partied the previous night in, he'd think to himself, who am I? What do I stand for? Have I pushed the envelope too far? And then he'd head down to the day spa to sweat his hangover out. Dan lived each day not knowing if this would be the day that the whole operation would fall apart. He became paranoid, constantly looking over his shoulder. He was riddled with guilt. One afternoon, Dan drifted into a deep sleep in his hotel bed, and he had a vivid dream of the SWAT team swarming his hotel room. Then he awoke to a knock at the door, convincing himself that the nightmare had personified itself. He opened the door, and it was the housekeeper with towels for the room, which he needed because he was soaked with sweat. Dan had very rapidly developed severe anxiety, suffering from regular attacks, things getting so bad at points he'd struggle to even stand. He'd have regular heart palpitations, and he developed a severe twitch in his right eye, as the vessels would spasm. The bank would continue to call Dan regularly. Each time, he'd assume it was all over, but they were just checking on him to confirm his payments, yet again. He felt it was finally time. He had to call an end to the whole thing. It was taking such a toll on his mental and physical health by the day that he genuinely thought he was going to die. So Dan, with his eye rapidly twitching, had made his decision. He just stopped. He went cold turkey. No more spending. He called the guys into the hotel room one last time and broke the news that it was all coming to an end. Dan pulled out his laptop, opened internet banking, and told the group that they could transfer any final sum of cash into their personal accounts. And after that, he was done. So as the boys headed back to Wangaratta, for the first night in months, Dan didn't leave the hotel room, he didn't top his account up, he climbed into bed and went to sleep. So with Dan not making his nightly ATM trip to stay ahead of the reverse payments, his savings account had fallen into $1.6 million of debt. So the next morning, with the remaining $80,000 cash in a Hilton laundry bag, he checked into a more affordable hotel nearby, got into his room, and poured the money into the bathtub. There was the last of the cash from the binge, sat right in front of Dan, $80,000. So Dan walked to the nearest NAB branch, dialed the house phone, and raised it to his ear. A man named Bernie answered the call. Dan confessed that there had been some weird transactions on his account, but Bernie was stern. Listen, Mr. Saunders, you aren't getting any more money, and I think you know why. Now, Dan thought two things in his head. One, well, I don't want any more money. And two, yeah, what is actually happening with all of that? Dan asked, and Bernie responded sharply. Well, you're going to jail, Mr. Saunders. It's a police matter now. You've ruined your life. And the call dropped. Now, despite the hostile interaction, Dan had basically just confessed directly to NAB. So now the police smash through Dan's hotel room and smack him in handcuffs. Well, not exactly. A month passed. The remaining $80K had almost run dry. Dan was still $1.6 million in debt, and still, he'd heard nothing. On the bright side, his eye spasms had completely cleared up, so Dan decided it was best to head back to Wangaratta. 3 months had passed. Still, Dan hadn't heard a thing. No police, no NAB, nothing. Well, this went on for 3 years. It's 2014, and Dan is living in Queensland at this point. He had scammed the NAB of $1.6 million, and there wasn't a single consequence. Dan had assumed that the NAB had simply written the debt off, but he just wanted a simple status on that police investigation that Bernie had mentioned. He wanted closure more than anything. You see, the thing is, whilst Dan knew they hadn't come for him for 3 years, he didn't know if they'd come for him one day. He had visions of growing old with children, and the police turning up and arresting him for a glitch that happened back in 2011. Funnily enough, the person that wanted justice the most was Dan himself. Then, he had an idea. If they weren't going to come for him, he was going to go to them. He was going to use the media to out his story publicly and get himself caught. So firstly, Dan contacted the Sydney Morning Herald newspaper and shared his story. They took it on, and a journalist met with Dan. They stuck him in a suit, then in a private jet, and took some flashy photos. The story was out there. The glitch, the binge, all of it. This was it. Surely, Dan is done for now. Lock him up and throw away the key. But still, nothing. Nobody. So Dan decides to push it up a notch. He makes an appearance on A Current Affair. This was primetime Australian television, and there was Dan telling his story to millions.
Probably look like a fat white Kanye West, but you know.
This was bound to really push the story out there. Dan would finally get an answer. What the police were doing this entire time. How the nearly 2-year-long investigation was going. But as Dan sat down that night to watch his story be told on A Current Affair, he heard something he didn't expect for a second.
We did, however, speak with him by phone and encourage him to hand himself in. At this stage, he's chosen not to contact police, who now want to arrest him. If you know his whereabouts, contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Dan was baffled. A Current Affair was claiming they didn't know where Dan was, and this was the first he'd heard of an arrest warrant in 3 years. Well, it turned out the entire time there was no police investigation. It was all a lie. Bernie on the phone saying it was a police matter. Well, NAB had never even contacted the police in the first place. Only after the show had aired had A Current Affair producer personally contacted his friend, who was an officer, and told him about Dan 3 whole years after the glitch. Well, later that Monday night, the 3rd of November 2014, after the show had aired, Dan received an email from one of the producers. To Dan Saunders. Thanks for your email, Dan. You're a funny bloke and have a way with words. I trust Adam has been in touch to let you know that the story is still running tonight. I hope you like the final product. You're more than welcome to collect the documents and photos whenever you like. I'm out of the office for the next couple of days, but we'll be back here on Thursday. Alternatively, I can have them posted to you. Whichever is easier, just let me know. Alex. Now Dan could see right through this, but wanting it all over with, as Thursday rolled around, Dan turns up to the A Current Affair Channel 9 headquarters, and seemingly, out of nowhere, a swarm of cameras surround him, and he's arrested on the spot. Now, Dan was pretty unfazed by the whole stick-up operation. Whilst it may have looked like a huge "we got ya" sting of a criminal on the run, Dan had basically been waiting and actively chasing his own arrest for the last 2 years, and finally, it had happened on live television. So at the station, the police took Dan's fingerprints and all of his information, but no officers actually interviewed him. I mean, there never was a police investigation. They just opened one to get an arrest warrant after the Current Affair broadcast and arrested Dan because he'd confessed on TV. It's not like they collected any data or evidence to interrogate Dan on. So after being put in a holding cell for a while, Dan is eventually released on bail, and within that very night, a current affair did a news update saying that Dan Saunders, the master criminal, had finally been arrested. So overall, Dan was being charged with 3 charges by the Crown Prosecutor. Charge 1 claims that Dan stole the amount of $80,222 from the National Australia Bank. Charge 2 stated that he owed payments of debts using a National Australia Bank MasterCard totaling the amount of $146,800.20. And the third charge were further payments of $21,574.92. According to Dan, the court case was a mess. The judge had no idea what Dan had even done. NAB had only provided a couple of bank statements, and they actually played the heavily edited news broadcast from the current affair episode as evidence in the courtroom. Well, in the end, Dan pled guilty to all charges and was sentenced to 12 months in a max security prison and a further 18 months community correctional order. And he was made to pay back $250,000. Now, as for why Dan didn't have to pay the full $1.6 million back, I can only assume that was down to the mess of evidence and little bank statements that NAB had provided. And you may be asking yourself, why did the NAB never really chase Dan up? Why was a police investigation not opened? Why did it take so long? Well, think. If you were the NAB, why would you want a story to go public of a man that had basically magicked millions of dollars from an NAB ATM, then all NAB customers seeing that as a security threat, and moving banks, resulting in huge company loss? It almost made sense for them to stay hush. Dan was eventually released from prison in May of 2016 after 12 months, and he gradually served his additional 18 months of community service. So as of today, Dan lives a calmer, far simpler life. He works as a carer in the day and has a restaurant job that he works at night. Dan is supposedly meant to be paying back the money from the court.
They had to walk by a fucking ATM.
Dan claims that's because he doesn't really have much money to give at the moment. Dan is now in the process of writing a book about his story and is signed on to make a Hollywood movie about the events that unfolded that is apparently now in pre-production. And I just want to say, if you're going to take anything from this story, please go and listen to the Glitch podcast on Spotify, as well as Willem Powerfish's interview with Dan. They've both been unbelievable resources in the making of this video, and are both linked below. I know I've mentioned a lot in this video, but there's so many little anecdotes and details that are just great to hear. Dan's stories from prison, things I can't mention on YouTube, and Dan's personality is one of the funniest, most endearing I have ever come across. He really is the life of this whole story. I highly recommend you go and hear it directly from his mouth. If you've watched to this point in the video, thank you ever so much. With the last upload
You're
being
welcome.
4 months ago.
That's the guy who made this video. This is me giving credit to the guy who made the video. That was pretty good. Pretty good. Show my levels. They're on the side there, bud.
The first modern Olympic.
Tip them? You like the part where I skipped the sponsor? Thanks. That was my favorite part too.
I summon Agent Tammy in attack mode.
We already watched this.
Hey people, Seth here. Are you?
I'm good.
Let's.
Chris.
Have you guys seen this? Probably. Analog horror series?
Not only is Castlevania Symphony of the Night with Konami.
Twitch chat's not ready for this kind of video. Boop 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 beep boop.
Stick around to the end and you'll find out how you could win your very own I made in part 1, and if you haven't seen it yet, you should go check it out. In part 1, I took a giant bloke of wood, I carved it into this guy, and
of democracy.
Good. The King of Stolen Valor.
Back of a horse.
Here he is on the night of his wedding, flanked by 2 security guards, with his bride in his lap. His wedding took place at his Arabian-style house in Mexico, which was inexplicably located right next to a traditional-style Japanese home. To say that...
Huh. I mean, it's an hour and 30 minutes long, though, dude. Two times speed it? No. We're gonna watch this thing instead, guys. Stop picking your face? No. I feel like I've seen YouTube shorts of this.
Somebody left a bunch of stuff up here. Come check it out.
Is this a porn? Could be.
This is disgusting. There's dust everywhere.
Ah, babe, look.
Watch it off stream, you'd really enjoy it. I probably will. I leveled, guys.
This is going in our room.
That was my computer, by the way.
Guys, this one's nailed shut. Finley. I don't like it. Let's just put it back.
What are you talking about, babe? He's awesome. I've always wanted to be a ventriloquist.
What? How is that anyone's desire?
Hey, Finley, would you like to tell us a joke?
Sure. What's brown and sticky? I can see your mouth moving, Chris.
Party pooper.
Jen, what's brown and sticky? A stick is brown and sticky. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Put the doll down. I need your help in packing downstairs.
Yeah. This ADR? I don't know what ADR is, but is it about the audio?
Yeah, coming.
Like the dubbing? That's exactly what it is? Oh. Guys, be careful. He coming. And he mad. Boy, he mad as fuck. Why am I gunching like that? I'm leaning over on the arm of my chair, dude. I'm leaned back. Comfortably. Guys, it's not scary, dude. It's a fucking doll.
Chris.
Chucky killed you.
Get in the room.
What's wrong?
Oh, no.
girls, come on, open up. May I present our little menace?
Have fun breaking in the new house.
You're welcome to join.
Shut up. Good night, Jen. Good night, Alex. Good night, Chris.
That guy's so Chad, bro. Holy fuck. Is this a YouTube video? Yeah. It's one of my favorite genres of YouTube. The shitty short story horror videos that they got.
Finley, did you walk down here all by yourself?
Some bland looking eggs, dude. Those McDonald's sausages.
We made you breakfast.
I didn't get any sleep last night. And now, I know why.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was busy last night.
Dude, such a fucking Chad.
It was you. I really don't know what you're talking about. I didn't touch the thing. But, I gotta go. I'll be back around 2. Bye, babe. Bye, Jeff.
Dude, they didn't even say bye to
Bye,
him.
Finley.
This dubbing is fucked up.
Oh, so how'd your date go with Greg? I didn't go. Oh, why not? He was my favorite. I found out he was a Scorpio. Ah. Come here. Good boy. I think I'm gonna do some laundry. Do you need anything washed? No, I'm gonna take a bath. Thanks, though.
I leveled, guys.
Very funny, Alex. Come on, Alex.
Nice parry, dude.
Jennifer?
That was sick.
Jennifer.
Stop plugged in, man. This guy's an idiot, bruh.
Chris, get home now.
Finley?
I've literally seen clips of this on YouTube Shorts. I'm actually kind of glad someone posted this because I've always wondered what it was from. Why run upstairs?
No. No! Oh, Chris, little shit's trying to put rat poison in the food again.
Go on, get.
This is the scene I saw.
Are you done now? When are you gonna give up?
Are you kidding me? What'd you break this time, you little shit? You're so dead.
I saw this part too.
Oh, I've got to go.
That's about it though.
I have a prop even.
Dude, they're making fun of him, bro.
Oh, Michael Myers! Freddy Krueger.
I'm missing.
Oh, it's Finley! It's Finley! I really thought
Come
you
on.
would fall back.
Oh.
Jennifer.
Happy birthday to you.
What was that? What was that spray? Hairspray? He was trying to light him on fire? It looked like he was spraying himself. Oh, he did. I get it now.
Oh my god, he finally did it!
You too good for your box? I defended you. This is 100% pure Egyptian polyester. You're sleeping outside tonight, kid. Oh yeah? You're gonna take the blame for this? Oh really? Smell it! Smell it! Smell it! Can't you tell no one wants you here? Why don't you just go back to the attic and stay there, you worthless dummy?
Chino, thanks for subbing. I missed that.
Chris, it's your turn.
Again.
Show dick.
I swear. I'm gonna turn him into firewood.
Hey, girls, you...
Oh, nar.
Let's go get the girls.
Is the puppet gonna save them? Of course he is, Twitch chat. Yeah, beat his ass. Beat his fucking ass. Yeah, dude.
I said get!
Why don't I have 2 girlfriends? He doesn't have 2 girlfriends, dude.
Which one of you ladies wants to beg for your lives a little harder?
Nah, we not here for them, man. Enjoy the perks. Nah, man, let's get some shit and go.
I know. Enjoy your life. Have a good time. I think I'll take this one. Get up! Go! Cut it out! Mind your own business.
Do neighbors still have power?
Who else is here?
Who else is here?
Ascension puppet. I told you you wouldn't believe me.
Why don't you go check on him?
What? I'm not going up there alone.
Go. Now! Go!
He's about to get home alone, bruh. You're gonna trip on some marbles down them stairs. Oh wait, I was right. Hold up.
Michael! Help! Help me! Please! Help me! Michael! Help me! No!
They're screaming, dude. Teehee. Yo, I'm cooking lobsters now, boys, and I got them gauntlets, bruh. Or I already burned one, never mind. This video is insanely triggering. Yeah, get triggered, lib. Fucking lib. Lib ass bitch. Mr. Guava's so mad at you. Like, bro, it's nothing personal. You just add me with the same thing for the last fucking 30 minutes or some shit, so I timed him out for an hour, dude. It's no big deal. It's no big freaking deal, bro. Get on time him out right now, dude. I don't give a fuck. Time me out too? I'd have to lean forward in my chair to do that, and I'm not willing to do that right now. Burp, beep, boop, boop, burp. This video is stupid. I got 4 years for maiming a home intruder. Bet you live in California, you fucking lib. Try that shit in a small town, see what happens. Durnia, 6 for 7. Dude, he's still alive, bro. He's like that one video, Life of Luxury video, of the baby that's shot out of the old lady's vagina. Yeah, the one we watched today, yeah. I'm hashtag Lux Army for life, dude.
We can exchange it if it's not the right size.
Oh, thank you, baby.
The best actor in this is the guy doing the fucking puppet, man. Everyone else sucks dick, dude.
How much nutmeg did you put in this?
Just a pinch? Why? What's wrong with it?
Taste it.
I wasn't gonna mention it. Well, it tasted fine earlier. Finley, how's yours?
I thought I mean, he didn't like them, so I guess it's okay if he kills them. Yeah, he just thought he liked the cat, that's it. An Australian dad was charged with murder after killing a home intruder, broke into his house tonight and was sitting over his daughter's bed. The guy had a long history of child abuse charges. Uh-oh.
Waking up to some good quality smoke here.
What the fuck is this? Some good quality smoke. Yes, sir.
Waking up to some good quality smoke here. This is what gets me up every day. Right here, I got up from a beautiful sleep. Beautiful dreams last night. And I wake up to this beautiful bud. I'm smoking this Granddaddy Perp.
Granddaddy Perp.
Starting my day off right.
He's gotta do it again, bro.
For beautiful dreams.
He's swallowing the smoke, dude. Dude, he's literally swallowing the smoke.
We're going to talk about dreams.
Wait, this guy's 16?
And how important they are. How important trees are. And how trees are linked to the dreams. There's actually a dream tree called a dream time tree.
Uh-huh. We got the Gabriel Iglesias How to Tell Latinos Apart. Classic YouTube recommend, dude.
This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Me who think 5 MMOs have been is probably the lowest barrier to entry for any MMO ever released. It boasts no purchase fee and graphics trousers in real life since the Bush administration. This concept was thrown out the window the second Cursed You pressed the proverbial flush button, ejecting their inhabitants out into the wider world. While the cause of the bug is still hotly debated, the currently
post good quality smoke link, just fucking YouTube it, man. That's literally the name of the video, dude. That's the whole fucking title of the video, dude. I just post a link. I already did and you didn't see it, bro. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you fucking mean, bruh? Just post it? I'm not posting it, bruh. Hell no, bruh. Hell no, dude. We will watch this, though. Hang on. I burnt the lobster. I've burned many lobsters, guys. I'm something of a lobster giga killer.
This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Welcome back to Mini Scandals. This series wrong players, eyes adjusting to the bright Falador daylight, quickly
leveled.
realized that not only could they still
55.
attack other players,
We're back, one
they
sec.
couldn't fight back. This meant all the good gear in the world wouldn't do you any good if you caught the attention of the wrong player. And amongst these wrong players, one man stood above the rest as the wrongiest of them all. Duriel 321. Already wielding some of the best items in the game, Duriel 321 went on a killing spree, gleefully whipping his victims to death and taking their gear as punishment for having the audacity to stand around minding their own business. During his brief spree, Duriel managed to make off with some impressive swag, including at least one of the infamous party hats, the RuneScape equivalent of looting the crown jewels from Queen Liz. Moderators could only look on in horror, telling players to bank their items and don't encourage him. Another mod Ash, a developer who just weeks before had agreed to be on call should anything fucked happen in the game after hours, received a call because something fucked had happened in the game after hours. Arriving at their Cambridge office late at night, he did what every American politician says they're going to do, and threw together a fix that would temporarily halt any further massacres. This finally put an end to Duriel's hour-long one-sided fight club, as moderators at the time were unable to ban players who were currently engaged in combat. While Jagex was able to apply a permanent solution in the following days, the players that had been griefed now demanded that the items they had unfairly lost be recovered. Some players petitioned Jagex to roll back the servers to before the massacre happened, and while this would undo the massacre, it would also undo all of the work that every other player had achieved in every other facet of the game during that time, essentially sacrificing the time of many for that of a few. Some enterprising players even attempted to message support staff, asking them to restore rare items that they hadn't actually lost. To add insult to injury, in an interview Duriel gave after the massacre, he admitted that he was willing to return the stolen items, had his account not been banned, taken the stolen items with it. Despite this supposed remorse, the RuneScape community was torn over whether or not Duriel was a digital Lucifer. On one hand, this player had exploited a bug to go on a killing spree, making off with some incredibly expensive loot that might have taken players months to obtain. On the other hand, it's funny. Duriel was supposedly a 16-year-old kid, and let's be real, who among us could have resisted the urge to royally fuck over people we've never met when we were 16? I mean, that was practically the reason MMOs were invented in the first place. Over the years, the Falador massacre turned from touchy subject to distant memory to legend. 10 years after the massacre, Jagex commemorated the bug with an in-game event that sees you invited to Cursed U's 99 Construction House Party before a random player is possessed by the ghost of Duriel 321, giving them the ability to kill any players they want, although without them dropping their gear this time. After a while, a giant boss version of Duriel 321 would appear that players could finally get their revenge on. While the victims may have never gotten their items back, I can only hope this at least provided some much needed catharsis for those who were affected. When I research these videos, I'll often immerse myself in whatever hobby I'm looking into. I got into painting Warhammer for my Warhammer video. You don't want to know what I had to do for my Belle Delphine video. And for this video, I've become horribly addicted to old school RuneScape. Despite this thorough research, if there's anything I've learnt on YouTube, it's that there's always more you can learn from a vaguely British sounding man with more clout than you. So I sat down with MMO content creator and self-described RuneScape player Josh Strive Hayes to fill me in on this next story. Oh, hey Josh, what are you doing here?
I heard you were making a video about MMORPGs, so I got here as fast as I could.
Yeah, that was really weird. I was on a call with someone else and you just like appeared. And I actually need to go back to that other call. That was like about like my taxes, but
Josh
Strive Hayes, thank you so much for coming on the channel. Now, not long ago, you told me a fantastic story that I'd love for you to tell again. It's the story of Wooks and the $10,000 Deadman Invitational Tournament.
Yes, Wooks is a legend in the old school RuneScape community. Wooks sees RuneScape the way that Neo sees the Matrix. It's just scrolling code and systems to be exploited. It's no longer a game. It's now just a series of mechanics that Wooks can prove he's better than. Amazingly, he somehow is able to do things that not even the game developers realized that you could do. They give him a mechanic, and then he says, oh, it works like this, and the game devs are there going, it shouldn't, but apparently it does. He is an absolute legend, and
time to change it?
Really...
I'm turning them off, guys. Too many whiners. Whiner! Whiner! Boo-hoo-hoo.
Guys, what one is your favorite? How you seek?
The fuck is this?
This video.
Guys, what one is your favorite? How you seek? Skewy Blue, Jumbo Sauce, Ben, Nab Nab. I forgot his name, the Frog Dude, and yeah, Flo Celine, Melina, Steen Gofferlin, Pillabode, and Awesome Huggy Wuggy. This is me, but like I don't want to use it. And Blue and Kissy Missy, Kilby Willy, Choo Choo Torvals. Like Boxy Boo, but like not evil, and we have evil Boxy Boo. Yeah, Squid Game Huggy Wuggy. Yeah, Baby Huggy Wuggy and Blue and Freddy Fazbear. On. We have Creepy Green. We have Happy Huggy Wuggy. Look how happy he is, and we have what the hell? We have Nobody Tells Huggy Wuggy.
Bro, that TikTok shit gets me every time, man.
This is me, waiting to go on stage alongside my fellow athletes.
Remember show? I don't even know. Remember show? I don't even know. Oh wait.
Why isn't it showing it? Huh?
Remember show? I don't even know. Oh wait. Look at this. Oh! That was the best shot I've seen since we shot Bin Laden. God damn.
It's literally just a recording of a fucking basketball game, like a high school basketball game.
Buddy, you're trespassing on my property. Get the hell out of my yard.
No, we're not watching. No, it's too far down the hole, dude. Can't see it?
Come on, dude.
That's my computer. No embedding on this video.
Xander.
That makes me fucking angry, dude.
BK Royal Crispy Wraps. Eat it with the meal or have it as a snack. Only $2.99. It's a hunger hack and it fits in one hand.
BK.
Xander, come on, dude. What are those?
Oh, these are hops. What, no? Can you smoke them? No, you make beer with
Hey, Xander, grab your pipe. Let's smoke this beer.
You don't smoke the beer. You drink it. Tell your friend to put his pipe away.
Xander, don't bring your pipe.
Do you guys need the pipe or what? Are we smoking beer? I don't know. Are we smoking beer? No, we're not smoking beer, okay? You make beer with this. Yeah, but can you smoke them? No, they don't do anything. Okay, they look like weed, dude. They look like weed to me.
What, you guys smoking weed?
I don't know, dude. Are we smoking weed? No, we're not smoking weed, okay? These are hops for beer.
No, we're smoking beer.
Oh, fuck yeah. Get out of my brewery. Okay?
Dude, what? What are you doing, man? What are you doing?
Let's just get out of here, man.
No, dude. Someone can smoke beer.
Nobody's smoking beer. Nobody's smoking weed. What are you guys talking about?
He's got a pipe, so... Don't you?
Yeah, why? Are we smoking weed? Okay, that's it. Get out of here.
Get out.
This is why we're voting for Bernie Sanders, dude.
I'm voting for Bernie Sanders, too. It doesn't mean you can just smoke hops in a brewery.
We don't smoke hops. We smoke weed.
Yeah, we smoke weed.
Okay, you know, what the fuck is wrong with you guys?
Nothing, dude. Why? Because we smoke weed?
Yeah, because we smoke weed?
What's he saying? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. At all.
Xander, just call your dad, okay?
Why?
Because we gotta get picked up. We gotta go.
Dude, just call an Uber. Just get an Uber.
I can't get an Uber.
Why?
Because I left my phone in there, okay?
Dude.
What? He's looking at us, dude.
I can't believe you left your phone in there.
What, you left your phone? Just get it. Don't do it. Just call your dad. We just get your phone and leave, please. Okay. Yeah. Fine. Okay. Yeah. Fine. Dude, bro, don't do it. Sender. Chill. I got it. Okay. Oh, dude, what are you doing, bro? Yeah, that's right. Bro, dude, bro. What is this, dude? What is this? We're gonna smoke some beer out of your ass. What? Why? Because. Well, that doesn't tell me why. Because. Okay, fine, whatever. Just give me my phone back.
Is this a houseboat?
What's up?
I don't think
Not
so.
much, dude. What happened? Nothing, dude. Just smoke beer out of my ass. What? That's tight as fuck. Oh no, I'm so freaking high and drunk from the beer hops. Where's your phone? Call an Uber. I shoved it in my ass. I'm drunk. Dude, come on. Why would you do that? I said I'm drunk, dude. Okay? Jesus. How are we gonna go home now? I don't know. Okay? I'm out of here though. See you later. Later. See you, Xander. Hey, Mom, will you take me home to Dad's? What? Just take me to Dad's, okay? I can't be around you right now. You smoke beer out of my friend's asshole. Okay, fine. Whatever.
It's his mom?
Cool. Get me out of here. Let's go, dude. Do you have your phone? Yeah. Let's go. Okay. Jesus. Dude, why's your dad such a dickhead? I don't know, Xander. You're kind of right, though. Shut the fuck up, okay? Both of you. You smell like... Have you been drinking? It smells like alcohol. Yeah, I smoke weed out of my butt. Okay, that's tight. Exactly. I know. I'm drunk as fuck. Dude, I wanted to do that, too. Maybe next time. Xander, shut the fuck up, okay? Get out of my car. I'm not giving you a ride home now. What the fuck, man? Don't say fuck in my car.
His dying video is better? Someone in chat said, doubt.
Roger? What do you want, bitch? How dare you? Yeah, I said it. How dare you? Yeah, I said it. How dare you? I don't even care. And he agrees with me. Oh, yeah, what do you want, bitch? Will you shut the fuck up? Who do you think you are? I'm the man of the house. Yeah, and I'm the boy of the house. Will you shut the fuck up? Yeah, okay, Dad. What has gotten into this family? You're not fam anymore. Yeah, you're not fam anymore. Will you shut the fuck up? Oh, really? Why's that? Because your moves are weak, babe, okay? Yeah, your moves are weak. Okay, bitch? Hey, you don't call her bitch. But Dad, I mean, come on. I'm not your dad. Honey, what are you doing? I'm telling him once and for all, right? What do you mean? I'm not your dad. You were adopted. What? No, what? What? No. Look at your hair and then look at mine. Mom, what are you doing? Let me handle this, okay, bitch? Yeah, fam only. I am your mother. No, you're not. Not anymore. We decided you're out. Will you shut the fuck up with that, please? Jesus Christ. What happened? Why am I not fam anymore? I'm not your fucking dad, okay? Look at you. I look exactly like you, dude. You look like a bird. He does not look like a bird. Will you shut the fuck up? Yeah, this is a family issue, okay? This is a family issue, you bitch. What did I tell you about calling your mother a bitch? Why am I not fam anymore? Because your moves are weak. Because your moves are weak. What? Your moves are weak, Mom. Will you stop calling her Mom? But Dad, I'm not your dad, and she's not your mom. He's right. What? Come on, fam. We're not your fam. That's right. What? We're fam, right? No, you're adopted. I'm not your fucking dad. Yeah, we found.
Okay. Okay, guys. You haven't laughed a single time? Yeah, we get it, guys. You just fucking hate everything, dude. It's whatever. It's whatever, dude. That's cool. That's fucking cool, dude.
Hey, Sora. Do you want to try smoking a cigarette with me?
No way, Ansem. Smoking cigarettes is for some dark-ass motherfuckers.
Oh, really? Is that what you believe? Because your friend Riku has been smoking 6 packs a day since I got him hooked.
What? No! Riku, he'll get lung cancer. I need to cast a wind spell on his lungs. You fucking bastard, Ansem. You son of a bitch.
Oh, you delusional child. To have come this far and still be a soy boy beta cuck of the light. I pity you, and so does my friend.
What's up, light bitch? The name's Jigbar, and I've been...
Cursing equals funny. Dude, you guys are laughing, man. You're fucking laughing, dude. Nice screen share. You want to see what you're missing, Twitch chat? You want to see the video that you're missing right now, dude? Sorry, guys. Hang on. You want to see this fucking video? Let me show you what I was not shown for the last 30 seconds, bro.
Hey, Sora. Do you want to try